I think like the process that I was going through was the idea of like, I actually was upset at myself because I knew of this person's behavior and I didn't bet on myself, right? I bet on what other people said. Give this person a chance. They're not like what you, and I let this person in my circle.
You did.
Right? And I have to take personal responsibility for that. Now, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. We have one of my favorite people on this earth. We got Megan Mitchell. Let's go.
Making a heart with my wine glass.
We haven't had Megan on this podcast in about 2 years. It's been a hot second.
It's my fault.
But you know, I always love bringing people on that I fuck with. Not a lot of new people come around here just because why? I don't want to talk to you. You don't like me. I don't like you. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Megan, how have you been?
I'm been okay. It's been a rough 2 years.
It's been rough?
It's been rough.
What's going on with you?
What isn't? I feel like, I mean, the last time we were on, it was all about racism, which racism is still around in 2 years. But I think moving into a space of really using my voice to advocate, which I really want to give you credit for, because you're the person that like made me actually confront and say these things out loud. And then once I say them out loud, you know, you can't be done with them. But it's exhausting. Like I miss the days of just having to like worry about going to Louis and buying my purses and where I'm going to eat. Now it's like still that, because I am who I is. But it's coupled with exhaustion from having to navigate spaces that are so centered around whiteness that even if it is in a space of advocacy, it's still centered around whiteness.
You know, and I do understand when people say, like, I don't like it when other people get on other people's cases of like, how come you're not speaking up at every turn? It's like, do you have any idea how exhausting that shit is?
Exhausting.
So when other people write these posts of, well, why didn't you say this? Why didn't you say that? Some people just can't deal with it. It's exhausting to do with that 24/7. Mm-hmm. And is it always going to be your responsibility to go ahead and check somebody? Some people have social anxiety. Like how? How do you always do this? I like to do it in gradients, right? There's some people, some people don't agree with this, but once you hit past the age of 80, let God be with you. You're going to meet him soon anyways. You know?
No, I agree.
You know, like,
and you've already done your time. Like why? Like John Lewis literally dedicated his whole life to civil rights. At what point does he get to enjoy his life?
Yeah, like when? And there are people too where I'll meet that are 80-something-year-old. They say some highly offensive stuff racially, right? And I'm just like, you're going to be dead in 10 years. You're not going to affect the future. This is just your little bubble. I'll let you have it. What's the whole point of this, right?
I agree.
And I think sometimes...
Which sounds crazy, but I agree with that too. Right? Because it's not like if they haven't encountered, first off, I think the thing that people have to understand is people have to want to change. Mm. So if you spent 80 years on this planet,
100%.
80 years thinking the same, if you think Black people are trash and unworthy and you spent 80 years thinking that, the only person that's going to stop you from thinking that is the Lord Jesus himself.
Yeah.
So you mosey on and I'll let Jesus deal with you because I'm not going to waste my time there. Like, what am I going to do?
It's the hardest part sometimes too with a younger generation because now we just live on the internet so much that it's hard to tell somebody who's younger than you that you can't base humans off of what you see on the internet and the things that you read. You have to interact with them to see for yourself.
That's been their whole life.
Yeah. So when you see like this small, because I'll say this, right? I go, Twitter is, or how many people are on the internet, whatever the percentage is, somebody could find it out there for me, but it's definitely not 50%. And I think it's below 30, right? So if you base all of humanity on the small percentage of people who use the internet, and then on top of that, the small percentage of people who use Twitter, YouTube, and everything else, then you're really not going to get to know people at all.
No.
Because some of the worst people, the people with the most anxiety, some shit to say that'll never say it to your face, what the fuck are they doing? They're going online. You know,
Drake said it. Trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. Like that is and I try to tell my students this all the time. I'm like, first off, y'all have to realize certain things. One, y'all are really young, which means that you're going to make a lot of mistakes. the difference between you and I is the internet wasn't around or that accessible when I was making those mistakes, right? Like definitely was probably talking to some pedophiles in an AOL chat room, right? Where it's like ASL, but that's as far as it went.
Yeah.
You know, like, what was I? My cousin and I were just, no. One of my girlfriends, we just got back from Mexico. So on the way back, mind you, that was amazing, but getting through
crazy.
He was just so ghetto.
Yeah.
But we were talking and she was literally saying something about, we were singing a line from something and the line was like, something about, we were singing Computer Love. And it was like, is that your face I see on my computer screen? I was like, when that song came out, mind you, it's like the 80s. So that was like hella futuristic. I'm like, now I carry around basically a mini computer where I can easily like talk to somebody face to face and don't even think twice about it, right? But for me, or for us, right, we also remember a time with ASL, with dial-up, with forget DSL, right? We're talking about like the old days of AOL where there were no pictures. Like you literally would just meet people and be like age, sex, location.
And straight up, you could not use the phone in your house.
Could not.
Because if you did, it would fuck up the internet.
Don't let your mama or daddy pick up the phone because then you're not getting back online for an hour.
The amount of ass whoopings I got because my parents would try to call somebody and they heard the idiot. And then my parents would come in, what the fuck are you doing? And then it would just be an ass whooping.
My mom didn't care. She would literally be dialing. I'd be like, Mommy, no.
Motherfuckers, we had to... If I wanted an album that I wanted to download, that was a 2-day ordeal.
2 day. Well, actually, let me tell you something. By the time Napster hit and LimeWire were hitting, like my mom being a teacher had upgraded our landline, our DSL. So that thing, so she got a whole separate phone line for it. You can tell me nothing.
That's crazy.
Like had a whole separate phone line so we could just do. And then it took 6 hours, but best believe
it wasn't 2 days though.
Best believe it wasn't 2 days.
Yep.
When that country grammar dropped, I had it.
My ass. I remember just going through like heartbreak and it would just be Boyz II Men, Brian McKnight, Jodeci, all this fucking sad ass fucking music. And I would have this like breakup CD mixes. Y'all don't even know about that stuff. You got your little Spotify mixes. We had CDs.
We were the curators of our own mixes. You couldn't just type in a song. Like you had to like think, okay, what is the beginning of this going to look like? What is the end? And then don't let a song be over the amount of time on the CD that you're trying to burn. Because then that was always a struggle for me. Because I was like, dang, I'm either going to be short one song that I'm going to know it's shortest song because I'm the one that made this mix, or it's going to cut off in the middle of the song.
We had the breakup mix. We had the cruising mix, right? I had the fucking the hood mix. I had
all of these. These were literally the titles of all my CDs. All my mixes. And then you open up your big, remember the CD case? And when your car had a 6 CD changer?
Yo, it was done. You were the fucking car that everybody wanted to get into because we didn't have to flip shit out. We're like, yo, just switch the CD. But that's why I really do think that we know so many lyrics to songs. We have a lot of emotional connection to music. There's not to say that young people don't, but then you guys get to cycle through so many things. You don't get to sit with music.
So fast. They don't get to sit with it. Like I was, again, talking to my students. You want to feel old? Become a teacher. I was talking to my students and I actually posted this on Instagram because I'm ghetto. So I was like 21 and then they were like, can you do something for me? So we were like filling that in. And I asked them, I was like, what's your, this reach. I was like, what's your favorite song on the album? Do you know? They were like, I don't know the album. I was like, what do you mean you don't know the album? First of all, F Drake for coming at Meg Thee Stallion. It took me a very long time to thank you, brother, to listen to the album because I'm like, first of all, Aubrey, you stay placating towards Black women. You always talk about how you like thick women. You always talk about how you love Black women. And then we all saw your baby mama, bruh. But bygones,
it's whatever's profitable.
But I was like, y'all don't listen to the whole album?
No, they don't.
They don't listen to the whole album. Like they legitimately do not listen to the whole album.
I had a friend of mine, he's a DJ, right? And he said that he saw somebody who blew up off of TikTok and his song, hundreds of millions of spins, right? So you would think that from the song, they would listen to his whole album. So he's performing his shit. He has a whole discography up. People aren't moving, jamming, nothing to his music, just quiet, just like, I don't know what the fuck this is. And I'm talking about this guy probably put his heart and soul into his album. And then the song that's on TikTok that's popular comes out, everybody's jumping, they're super hyped.
Crazy.
But the amount of disrespect for this artist, because they actually don't give a fuck about this person. They give a fuck about that song.
Just the song, the catchiness of the song, the jingle of the song. But that's why we have so many one-hit wonders nowadays. Or that's how we have so many people going viral. Like back in our, we old, because I was going to say, back in our day, you had to have a full album. Right? Like by the time we switched from cassette tapes to CDs, you couldn't buy singles anymore. 100%. So your whole album had to hit. If I'm going to spend $15.99, I have to have a no finisher from the start to the finish. Like I have to be able to listen to the album through. I have to be able to, but even think about the way that music videos were serviced to us. Yeah. Right? Like, we used to call and vote. Like, it was a big deal if you were number one on 106 and Park or number one on TRL, because we actually had to call in and support you. So I think that's why the level of support that we see for artists now is different as well, right? Like, people like, I'm trying to think. Drake actually, I feel like, is one of the last performers or last artists that will forever have an audience and a brand. And I say that because he was hot off of his mixtapes. Yeah. You know, but even if you think about like Kanye, oh my gosh, damn, I miss Kanye so much. And I'm gonna tell you why I miss Kanye. Is because I was a true Kanye fan. Like I had the mixtapes, the freaking mixtapes.
100%.
The Louis Vuitton Don, like I had all of them. Drake was the same way, right? Like he got hot off of his mixtapes, had singles out, no record deal. You can't have that now. Like, not saying that the artists aren't good, but they're just not like, I feel like they all are going to have their time to shine, and then it's going to phase out and the new person's going to come back in. I mean,
that's what's always happening. Like I give people like a cycle of 5-6 years, and then people move on and they find the next hottest thing. People don't really sit with the art anymore. And also too, some of these new artists don't really consider themselves artists. They're just they don't. So, you know, they're not.
I'm hot till I'm not.
Exactly. So they'll make their bag and they'll move on, which I guess is fine, right?
I hope they invest in.
No, they're definitely not. A lot of them aren't. Like, I mean, of course. I mean, you're super young. You come with all this money. What are you going to do with it, right? Because if I was 17, 16 years old, what the fuck am I going to do with fucking, I don't know, $6-7 million? I don't know. Blow that shit. And they just never know. It's even like that with a lot of like YouTubers. When I was starting out, and I used to see these guys roll up with just the craziest shit, right? The Louis backpack, right? With it would be like fucking $5-6 grand. They got this rollie on their wrist and whatnot. And I'm like, I know how much money you make, and I don't see that being in your bank account now, right? So I wonder what you're doing with that, right? And they were living it up. And mind you, I'm not gonna lie, they look fucking good. They look great. They were stunting some of the dopest shit I've ever seen.
The longevity.
And then now they're just over here like, okay, well, what I got to do for money? I was like, well, really, if you didn't spend like 200 G's on stupid shit, you wouldn't be worrying about that stuff, right? Which kind of where I put myself in my position, right? I'm probably doing literally 20% amount of social media that I used to do 7 years ago, right?
Facts.
But I make more money now than I do then.
Facts.
So it's like, what do
you invested? You have businesses. Like you thought outside of the YouTube timeline. But I think we also saw this age, right, where people were getting, when YouTube really started like monetizing or influencers became a thing, that you would not believe how many students I have that say they want to be influencers.
Crazy.
And I'm just like, I know influencers, so I know that influencers do work. Like it is a lifestyle. Like it is a commitment to sharing everything. Like when I first wake up in the morning, I definitely am not vlogging and doing a camera in my face because I'm just, I'm not that person.
I'm not doing it now. I can't do it.
Can't do it.
I literally can't do it. People are asking, yo, you should start doing vlogs again. I'll sock you in your mouth. No, I'm not doing it.
I'm too old for it.
I'm not doing it. I'm not,
but you're at the point where you don't have to, right? My students, I'm like, I'm definitely a supporter of all dreams, but I'm also a realist. Like, I'm not going to be the teacher that crushes your dreams, but I'm also not going to be the teacher that sends you out into the world blindly. And I told them, I said, there's fewer YouTubers that make the type of money to sustain the lifestyle that y'all want, then there are those that are pretending.
Yeah.
Right? Because the thing is the pretend, like the bags, you can rent the bags on Varel or Vivrel or whatever, or Switch or Backbar or Still. So you're not seeing the behind the scenes. But again, like we were saying earlier, it comes down to the fact that this is all that they know.
100%. So this is like, it's so crazy because I'll say this a million times over and people just don't believe it. And I'm talking about, this is not from a hateful place. This is from a generation where I want them to do really well because you're in a space like this because of older people like me who started this, right?
Facts.
But I think they kind of fell in love with everything but the hard work that it took for us to get to this point where we do get to chill a little more, you know? So for example, I go to these...
Listen, America's parents, because these are your kids that are sitting in our classes.
So I'll go to these events, right? And then I see, you know, I'm rolling up. I don't have an expensive car anymore, right? I've had my moments where I wanted to floss and I let that shit go.
But can you?
Exactly. So, you know, I roll up. I have a 4Runner. It's a good car. I come through.
First of all, your 4Runner is fly as all hell. Like it is, you don't have the base model.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing what we're doing, right? And so I'm rolling up and then we see these kids and I know them, right? I know them because, you know, they have it on this like sheet where I get to see what these people do. And I was curious about TikTok at the time and also Instagram just to see what the younger generation is doing. And some of them make good money, but then the other 95% doesn't. But
that's the key.
And I look at their
Some
page.
of them, as in 5%, make good money, and the other 95%
do not. They're struggling. And I'm looking at their page though, and just like you said, they're in like Ibiza. They're traveling all over the place. And so I just wanted to talk to them. And you know, some of them are coming up. It's like, yo, I've watched you since I was a kid, all this other stuff. And I'm like, hey, cool. Like, how are you doing? They're like, man, like we're just trying to make some money. Like, I was like, well, so what do you do right now?
Baby, you got to get a job.
6 people live in one apartment.
You got to get a job.
And I'm like, hold on a second. Y'all, every single one of you have over 1 million TikTok followers. So what are you doing to leverage that type of stuff? They're like, well, they're giving us free trips. That's what I was like. Hey, dummy.
That's what you're getting. That's what you should be getting in dollars. You are getting in free trips.
I was like, this is what you should do, right? Go fly there. Perfectly fine. But you should be asking for money. If they don't want to give you the fucking money, that's fine. Or they don't want to give you the flight and the money, take the money instead. And then go buy the ticket to the fucking place and you'll still make money on top.
Yeah.
They don't get that shit.
No, they don't. Especially if it's a business or hotel or like a luxury travel group or something. They are making a profit off of you.
100%.
And if they are flying you over and putting them in some of their hotels and things, best believe they're not paying for, all they're paying for is the flight. And they may have travel credits. So always take from someone who used to be in entertainment, take the money, always.
Take the fucking money.
And if they don't want to give you the money, that's not a brand that you want to partner with.
And, you know, for those people who want to make this into a living, right? And I say this is not disrespectful at all. You guys are trash anyways. Like, it's not like you're creating art. You're just doing it for the bag, right? Nothing you put out has heart.
People see that put in.
Exactly. Like, you don't put your heart into it. You don't give a fuck about the shit you put out. You just want to be famous. So at least make some money off of it. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like, why the fuck do you care so much about what these people who you have never met in your life think about the way that you fucking live? Just do what you fucking do. And then if you're trying to make money off of it. It's not going to fucking last, but at least make that bag last for as long as it can.
That's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. See, people always wonder why Megan Pete finished her degree, even though she had top selling albums, is because she was aware, right? Like, there's only for so long that you can do some of the things that you do. So I saw Janet Jackson last Friday.
Okay.
Dream come true. That is my, like, y'all know, people know I love Beyonce, but the way I love Janet, like, it wouldn't even be a choice. I'm choosing Janet every single day. Fight me. I don't care.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was like, I went with my cousin and she was like, she's covered up. I was like, girl, she's in her 50s. You expect her to still be out here
not covered
in
up.
a bra?
She's about to fall out. That's the problem.
Right? Like, still amazing. Music. I mean, she was singing live. She was at the 5 Point Amphitheater in Irvine.
Okay.
So she is live band, everything sounded amazing, dancing amazing. Right? But she is 50. Maybe you don't want your titties out when you're 50.
I mean, she already did the Justin Timberlake thing, and that shit already flopped out at that age. That shit came out like a fruit roll-up.
I love Justin, but like screw Justin because he knew better. He knew. Should not have let Janet. Should have not did the show on the curtails of a black woman, but then leave her out there to hang because she was the bigger star.
You know what's crazy? Like I was talking to Tim about this on our podcast where I literally didn't know anything about the Iggy Azelia thing that happened with DC Young Fly, right? And I've only heard it through the grapevine. It was something I wasn't really interested in. And so I go ahead and I read what Iggy wrote out about DC's wife passing away. She used to be a Wild and Out girl. You know, I'm catching up on all the old gossip. And so when Tim was giving me the lowdown about what happened, how awkward it fucking was, and how much she flipped out, I actually didn't realize he was actually underplaying it to me because when I actually saw the clip, it was so awkward. And I wanted to know, and Tim told me what the joke was. It was such a mild kindergarten joke. It wasn't even specific. It was very general. It was such as a comic like DC is, it was literally a soft line. He just said, "You're ugly ass." That's it. That's general. You could be ugly for whatever fucking reason. He didn't talk about anything else. And then she took it mad offensive. And she goes, "That's super colorist." I'm like, "Colorist? What are you talking about?" He just said, I was like, what is this?
No, boo. He's talking about you're ugly.
That's it.
That has nothing to do with the color of your skin because ugliness is something that does not discriminate either. It doesn't matter what cultural background you're affiliated with.
You ugly.
Ugly is ugly, boo. Ugly is ugly.
And it was weird. Like, I'm not sure if, and you know what? It was so hard for me to watch. I had to pause and just continue to watch it again because it was so real to life. Because we've seen people do that where they're in a group, they won't let the joke go, and they have to keep coming back to this fucking well that's empty. Like, you're not funny. Let it go. And if DC wanted to rip into you,
he really could have.
He really could have. And towards the end, he's like, "Why do you keep coming after me? Just stop. Please stop."
No, that's when I was like,
I was like, "No, this is so awkward."
Yeah, because it's, we talked about being exhausted by whiteness, right? Okay. How can I, you got a BBL to look like a black woman. You slicking up non-existent baby hairs to look like a black woman. It's always very difficult for me, for people that profit off of black culture to then try to use their white privilege to attack, gaslight, reprimand somebody that is black, right? So even Wild and Out was on MTV and MTV2, but it's Nick Cannon. Like he's featuring comics of color, right? Because Tim's not black, but Tim's is a comic of color, right? It's a safe space for black people. Why would you go on a show? Where they're going to be bagging on you? Like, that's the whole point of the show, is to like bag on you, right?
She said she didn't know.
Tripping. So then you're ignorant because the reason why you came on this show specifically is because you know that the people that support your music and support your platform are watching this show. But then the moment you shoot in the dozens, like everybody knows, I'm somebody that I cannot shoot the dozens. I cannot bag. I'm gonna come out swinging. I get my feelings hurt. I'm a Scorpio. Like, don't talk about my mama. Don't talk about me. Like, I'm not gonna talk about you. So don't bring it over here. But you asked your management. Somebody knew what the show was about. They agreed to put you on the show. You coming up there with your baby hairs and your booty, and then when DC Young Fly says a joke that is like, I mean, shut your ugly, like that is
bottom of the barrel joke.
That is
being kind to her.
Being kind, boo. He could have talked about you.
He could have talked about your lopsided body, your big ass head, your wide shoulders. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things he could have said. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't.
And he did not.
And didn't.
Pumpkinhead.
But then you get in this space, and the first thing you want to do is wave your flag of white privilege. Tripping. And that itself is why whiteness is exhausting. Is because it's all fun and games till you want to be white.
Mm-hmm. And it was like, the funny thing is you want to talk about holding a fucking grudge, right? So DC Young Fly, for those of you who don't know about this, his wife passed away, right?
Tragically.
She passed away. It was for some type of cosmetic surgery, whatever. There's no judgment on that. Either way,
there's no judgment. But it makes me sad, though, that women, especially Black women, feel this need to alter our natural beauty in our bodies because she was gorgeous. So Jackie O is beautiful. I don't think there is not even a person on this planet that would not unanimously say that she was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
She's had 3 kids. 3. This snapback culture, this culture of looking like you were when you were 20. I didn't even appreciate the body I had when I was 20. I was looking at a picture when I was 29. I was like, you dumb hoe. You was fly.
My situation a little different. When I was 29, shit was not popping. But but I know what you're saying,
no,
right?
No, but so the fact that she even felt the pressure to have to go under the knife, and this is no judgment, right? Like, this is no judgment, but it breaks my heart.
It's a conversation to have, though, right?
Absolutely.
And on the opposite side, right, I saw this story from Blac Chyna. Did you see what she did? She
went and got her fillers taken out.
And look how beautiful she looks.
Gorgeous.
Right?
But see, Blac Chyna was... So I'm about to tell myself. So before Blac Chyna was Tyga's baby mama, I actually saw her in Miami.
Oh, really?
That KLD, my girlfriends. This is before, I became a bonus mom and all that other good stuff. But she was a baddie back then. And when I first saw her, I saw her from behind. She was wearing a pink wig. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Nicki, because I had all of Nicki's mixtapes. Yeah. And she turned around. I was like, that's not Nicki, but she is bad.
Uh-huh.
Like before the fillers and everything, she was beautiful, like just bad. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's like, but again, the pressure to keep up. And I feel like as a Black woman, when you get into certain spaces or you get into, Blac Chyna was beautiful to Black people, right? But the moment that she got entangled with the Kardashian family, then it was a whole different audience, right? So then you feel the pressure to not just look beautiful, but to look beautiful to white culture or the masses, right? So that's why she altered herself.
I will say this, though, and this is for anybody in the entertainment space, where it's when you value yourself only based on your beauty and what people see in you based on your exterior, it's going to mean that much more to you to hold on to this thing called youth that is supposed to go away.
Youth is fleeting.
It is supposed to fucking go away. You're not supposed to be the baddest bitch on the block forever.
Or be the baddest in your age group.
Yeah. And also
in your age group.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a negative sum, right? You keep putting more into this bag that will never give back to you at all.
Ever.
It doesn't fucking work that way, right? Like sometimes I see it, and this is a criticism specifically on Korean culture too, right? People fly to Korea to get their shit done, right? And I see here's what I noticed about Japan and Korea. Here's the biggest difference. When I was walking around Korea, right? A lot of Korean people will never walk outside the house not looking their best, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of Korean people look very similar because they have the same doctor doing the same surgeries. So you go to Japan.
I feel like you just called out some of my homegirls. It's okay. I still love y'all. Y'all look good.
You look like a bunch of cats. So we have a bunch fucking ridiculous. We got
not cats. Oh my God. That's such an insult because we don't even like cats.
When I went to Japan, right? I noticed that, we have similarities in our culture, but everybody looked a little different.
That's also because they colonized you guys. They were torturing you for
They looked a little different. Like they weren't so concerned about looking 100% when they walked outside the door, and they looked a little more comfortable. When when I look at Korean entertainment, like you'll see stuff like Love Island or whatever, whatnot, right?
I love Korean entertainment.
They got so much they don't even look like people anymore. And I'm like, that's not what you look like. There is nothing wrong with your fucking face. And it's this idea they want to have that Western look. But what the fuck was wrong with your face in the fucking first place?
But again, right? That goes back to the exhaustion of having to try and assimilate or live up to whiteness.
I hate it. And look.
And it's terrible. It is the one thing that frustrates me the most, and this is probably so trivial, is having friends that have gotten the double eyelid surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your eyes are beautiful. You're trying to get something that you were genetically not designed to have. And trust me, if there's a plastic surgeon, if Dr. Miami wants to offer me a mommy makeover, I'm taking it. And when you see me out here in the streets wearing nothing, don't say nothing. but I'm not going to ever try to do something that, I'm going to show him a picture of my body at 29 and let him make it that. But I'm not going to take out my booty. I'm not going to take off my titties. I'm not going to I don't want a thigh gap. Like my thighs are meant to touch.
Yeah.
But I've had to develop this self-confidence because everything else in the world, right? Like black girl bodies were popular when the Kardashians had black girl bodies. Now they're going back to, and I hate this term, but they're going back to the heroin chic.
Yeah.
I will never be heroin chic. My body is not designed to do that. So I would have to go under the knife and alter who my body type to do that.
And this is what I'm saying with like, for those of you who don't know, you guys think that I talk a lot of shit about like Korean entertainment, right? But I'm talking about before you even got on the wave of Korean pop culture, whatnot, you got to understand that I'm a Korean immigrant.
If you don't know about HOT,
SES, Finkel,
don't say nothing. Don't talk to me about BTS unless you know HOT.
Exactly. So we're going back in time, right? And what I really liked about that generation was that everybody looked a little different.
They did.
People had their own style. They had everything else. And so now, why I don't care about groups like BTS, so not to say that they're not dope, they're not doing what they're doing, but I could pluck them out and then throw somebody else back in and they will look and sound exactly
the same.
Right? Doesn't take away from what they're doing. But this is just to go, not just Korean culture, right? Korean pop culture anyways, and sometimes even in their society.
But the reason why they're having to westernize or feel like they have to westernize is because they are trying to hit the fans in America.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to this idea of where you don't have to be beautiful based on somebody else's standards, right? There's something very special and unique about what you do, right? If everybody looked the same, how boring would life be? If everybody spoke the same languages, everybody had the same culture, how boring would life be? Really, you just have to find that what you have and make it beautiful, make it work for you. No, you will never look like that person. You will never be that other person. And that's completely okay. But you're focusing on things. Literally, you're planting seeds into dirt that has no nutrition. Things will not grow from here at all. As much as you want that tomato plant to grow, there is not enough NPK in that soil to help this tomato grow. It is clay ridden.
Why do you have to mention that? First of all, Al Gore's internet people.
She just walked through my tomato garden.
David has 70,000 tomatoes.
Listen.
Okay. This is the pride of his existence. So the fact that they don't even know why you're referencing tomatoes, but I know how important these tomatoes are to you in your heart is ridiculous.
Don't plant your tomato seed in the soil that is not ready for. Like, I feel bad sometimes, right? Like I look at...
Then, first of all, I have a black thumb. Forget a green thumb. I have a black thumb. Okay? So the fact that you spouting out these gardening, like, this is why you're watching Magnolia Home and HGTV talking about, y'all, David is fully...
I'm a housewife, is what I am.
Yes. But not a real housewife. He is a real gardening wife, okay? So back to your tomato analogy. Because
I just feel bad for this, like, our generation, the younger generation, the generation that comes after you, where you feel like you have to put on your best for people who don't care about you. It is the saddest thing I've ever seen. You are putting on your best for people who don't give a fuck about you. If you died the next day, they will not mourn you. They will not cry. They may shed a single tear, but the next day they'll find and worship somebody else. And it's so hard to tell people this, right? Like I posted this thing on my Instagram. I have this other Instagram where I just simply post photos of my everyday life, and I call it my daily journal.
That's my favorite.
I mean, it's just my life, and I take film photography on it. Sometimes digital, but it's just what it is. I took my business email off of it. I was getting all these offers. I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this shit. This is just what I want to share about my personal life. It's a digital fucking diary. Let's let it be.
But
like
it's
this.
dope though, because it's not for the masses. So you don't have to be, the personality or the persona of David. You just get to be David.
Mm-hmm. And it reminds me, this is why I like film photography a lot, because there's some photos that my parents have, right, where I see them in their youth before I was born, even when I was younger. And these photos weren't meant for anybody else but our family, right? And sometimes when people create, they think that they're creating. You're not creating shit. You're creating fucking repetitive garbage. Mm-hmm. What happened to the times where we used to just take photos just for our memories, right? And now we're just trying to create memories that don't exist. They don't exist. I see it in a lot of people who have the most fucked up relationships, right? They're,
you about to hurt some feelings? Yeah. Hold on, let me take a sip.
Like, look, I've been around these type of people, not people in my fucking circle anymore, but the people that used to be in my circle. They have some of the most fucked up relationships. And I see them crying to me about how they cheated on them, how they have an addiction to porn, all this other stuff. But that same fucking day that they were crying, they're like, I love my husband. He is the best. Nobody told you to post that fucking photo.
Nobody asked to see this.
What are you trying to do here? What are you projecting, right? And the thing about it is, like, when you have a certain amount of following, you do have a little bit of responsibility because people look up to you because you're a couples channel.
But see, that's the issue.
Trash.
There shouldn't be a couples channel. Shout out, I have been a fan since they were back in Seattle of Kev on Stage and
love Kev. I always shout that motherfucker out, man.
And love Melissa, Mrs. Kev on Stage, right? And the thing that I love most about them is that they have been a couple that illustrates love, and specifically Black love, in the most honest of ways. The most honest of ways. Because the thing is that if you are in it, it doesn't take a brain scientist. All it takes is having one serious long-term relationship to know how hard relationships can be.
And guess what? They had that relationship before the fame.
Before the fame.
None of this stuff was out there for everybody to see.
The fame isn't going to change the little issues that they have. And the thing that you have to the thing that people don't understand, especially because what was it? There was one couple, because I don't like couple channels. I don't like people that don't tell the truth. And when I say don't tell the truth,
you don't like this type of shit? What's up, everybody? What's going on? It's the motherfucking Mitchell family here.
No.
Let me tell you something. You wake up in my house like that, you're going to get fucking socked in the back of your head like this. Like a fucking 3-year-old with my wrist curled back, just like this.
Socked. You know what waking up with the Mitchell family is? It is walking out to see Hunter on some back east phone call at like 7:15 in the morning. McKenna crying for her oatmeal. She can't even say oatmeal, but she demands it. Oatmeal every day, trying to make sure Devin gets up downstairs, and me trying not to talk to any of them because I don't like to talk to people when I first wake up in the morning. That is real life, right? But all this, like, I hate those. Let me not say that. That is not my type of entertainment for people that make money off of that. Kudos to you. But any person that has been in a long-term relationship knows that no matter how amazing y'all are doing, there are still things that this person does that annoy you.
Family channels are the worst thing that happens.
They are the worst because they project this image, and why people are dumped at us and can't see past it. Do you think let me tell you something. I had one of the worst pregnancies, but best birthing experience ever. I had a great birthing story. If Hunter would have pulled out his phone to vlog, you would have seen me detaching the little heart monitors and punching them in the face. Like, I look a mess. Do you think I want you to film my birth?
Yeah.
So then the fact that like there's times when, because I follow like Jackie Ina. I follow people that I've been following for a long time that can give me a service, makeup, hair, blah, blah, blah. But so then because they're, technically like lifestyle people, then you get these other ones. I'm like, do you think I really want to watch you giving birth to twins?
Yeah. Nah, I'm good.
I'm
okay.
good.
Yeah.
I'm good. And then you sit up there smiling. I've been through birth and I had an amazing birthing experience, but I wasn't sitting up there smiling like, oh, can't wait to meet the little, like, shut up.
Man, I'll tell you this. There was a very popular channel that I used to follow. It was a family channel. And
I know which channel you're talking about.
No, it's a different one.
Oh.
That was a different one. But we
better talk through telekinesis.
Yeah. It was a family channel about a Korean dude and a black woman, and they were married and they had a couple. They had a bunch of kids, right? There's 2 or 3 of them. There's one of them where there was some drama behind it. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Are you going to edit this out? Because I don't want to like...
No, I ain't going to edit shit out. But but basically...
Did the wife have like super short hair?
Yes.
And they just kept having kids?
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I have questions for them.
So there's like a couple of them where they're dope couples. There was one couple, and I'm pretty sure you guys could fill in the blanks, and I'm not going to fill in this blank because I actually don't remember their names. But I loved watching them at first, right? Because it was super interesting watching this Korean Fabi dude with this black woman.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And it was like the meshing of their families. Like they would do videos like wash day. And you see them doing all 79 kids' hair.
And they, I think they met each other through church, right? Of course, that's how it is. And next thing you know, it turns out they're in this hyper abusive fucking relationship. It was wild.
That was the couple I was thinking about.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know who you're talking about.
And I'm talking about they put it on for people. It's like, oh, you want to see culture and culture mash with each other? I'm going to make money off of this shit.
And they did. Like they even had, they were like teaching our kids Korean, blah, blah, blah. And then
trash.
You come to find out that it is trash. And that is actually why they are them. And there is a Christian couple that I effing hate. I effing hate them. And I used to follow them. But part of the reason why I hate this one person or I hate this specific influencer is because she has this whole like, I was out in the world and I was dating ballers and I was giving myself up. And then I met this pastor who is rich and comes from a lineage of bishops, right? And I dedicated myself and our first kiss was at the altar and I'm vegan and I'm this and I'm that. I said, girl.
You said vegan. I already gave up.
Girl.
I'll fuck with you.
You just started giving your pussy to the church. Ooh, I'm about to get in trouble. This is a what? But yeah, you closed your legs temporarily because y'all's engagement was 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you started busting it open for a pastor. You just changed $1 for another.
Exactly.
And you put on 2 women that this is the way to go. But the thing is, you just went from tricking for these dudes to tricking for the church. And this is, y'all know I love Jesus. You know, David, you know I love Jesus.
Look at her making her case right now.
Okay, I love Jesus. I'm a believer through and through. I will die on a cross for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
But you're a hoe for the church. You went from you, and this is probably the thing is, she was about to age out because she's our age. So you about to age out with the athletes. And you just found another way. But then you go out here and then you make women feel bad.
Exactly. And look, there are so many people who will use like a wave to go ahead and bolster themselves, right? But it's only for very selfish reasons, right? And I got super upset years ago when there was this girl who online, so, me and Tim did this video, right? And the ongoing joke on the channel is that everybody, Tim's famous and I'm not, right? So there was these two regular girls.
You're famous to me, brother.
Right? So there was these two. I thought.
I actually love it when people ask you to take pictures of them with Tim.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's hilarious.
You are my family, so I don't love it, but then it is hilarious.
It's hilarious, and I love it too. It's fucking funny, right? And so the ongoing joke for 4 or 5 years is that obviously I make fun of the fans. Right? And it's based on ridiculous shit.
You make fun of people?
Yeah.
No idea.
It's on some ridiculous shit that's clearly not true. So there was these two girls who were just regular Asian girls, right? And they were walking up to Tim and they were taking photos. I was like, man, look at these floozies talking to Tim. And so,
I know which episode you're talking about. And I actually laughed hilariously.
And so this fucking bitch, I'll say it, starts going on this, and this is during the Me Too movement. And so she posts on my page.
I'm not rolling my eyes at me. I am rolling my eyes at Me Too, but I'm not. But I'll have to explain that so I don't get canceled.
She starts saying like, women, are you going to let this man down talk another woman? When we go through I was like, hold on. Do you know what this joke's about? This joke's about me.
It's less about you, girl, and it's more about me.
I was like, it has nothing to do with you. You're clearly regular women. People are laughing because you guys are just normal and I'm salty for no fucking reason. I'm making fun of myself, you stupid fucking idiot. But of course, she's so fucking dumb that she's just over here mouthing off, and then everybody started ripping into her. So she kept going in and on it more. Then she got her dumb fucking, Captain Save-A-Ho guy friends to come message me, which by the way, you could come get it at any fucking time.
Please don't, please don't play with David. He's from Sacramento.
Like, if you want to come get it, you can get these fucking hands.
And
I'll pray for you.
Beauty supply stores. Like, please don't mess with him.
Like, I will pray for you out of love because I don't fight anymore. But listen,
do you not?
I do not.
Let the right person try you.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
exactly,
I'm trying. So it's like. And I sat there.
God's not through with us yet.
And I talked to my mom about it. She goes, you know what? It's not worth it. I understand what your joke is, but she didn't want to be a part of the joke. She doesn't get the joke. So just take it down. So I was like, you know what? My mom's right. So I took it down and we just kind of moved on from it. Right. But I really dislike how she took something that was supposed to be positive for women and used it for her selfish reasons. And I'll check this shit out. So Tim decides that he apologized to the girls, right? Tim's like, I don't want any problems or whatnot. And then he was like, look, if you guys ever want, meals on me, because it was a food event anyways, I could buy you a meal and I'll apologize in person.
Whatever.
And so the other girl who didn't cause a scene, she didn't care. She understood the joke. She thought it was funny. The other girl unfriended her other friend that was in the video because she didn't get a personal invite.
She's on her high horse.
So she's already just an evil jackass in general, right? And she was hating on her friend. She was like, oh, you're not with me or whatnot. They're not friends anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Be glad, girl.
So I'm going to take this to the day that I die. I was not fucking wrong. I just took the fucking high road. And guess what? Evil will always show itself. And that's what happened. So she went off on her friend saying like, oh, how come I didn't get an invite? How come I didn't? She was like, no, he said that both of us, but he messaged me. And so she unfriended her friend. Next thing you know, me, I'm petty. I did a little snooping. I found out
petty?
I found, petty wop is what I am. One eye. Let's go. I fucking.
That's it. He's in jail for something. I don't know.
He did some type of shit. Dude, fine. Fucking Petty LaBelle. I got the vocals for it. So
that you do.
You know what I'm saying? So I go snooping on her page, right? This girl over here fucking half naked, fucking deep throating bottles and shit. I'm like, okay, so you're not even, what the fuck are you talking about?
But that's why she was offended, is because you were, unbeknownst to you, addressing part of her.
I didn't even know about.
I mean,
because she just looked like a regular average Asian girl.
Let me tell you something.
My lovely genius farts. This podcast is brought to you by Factor, my friends. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit that can help you fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your freaking door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track, reaching your goals. I got a bunch of Factor meals sent to me, and I obliterated every single one. Saved me time, super delicious, and now look at me. I'm the sexiest I've ever been. Looking for calorie-conscious options this summer? Try delicious dietitian-approved calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. But no, my friends, they did not take away on the flavor, because they are stupid delicious. We're talking about roasted garlic, filet mignon, and shrimp. We're talking about Cajun spice, shrimp and salmon, some surf and turf options, my friends, a whole bunch of other stuff. Head to factormeals.com/geniusbrain50 and use code geniusbrain50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code geniusbrain50 at factormeals.com/geniusbrain50 to get 50% off your first box. Genius Brain Farts. My friends, this podcast is brought to you by ZocDoc. Look, you're trying to find a cause for your symptoms, right? Whether it be an itchy throat, itchy eye, itchy butt, itchy nipple, whatever it is, and you stumble down a TikTok rabbit hole full of questions and advice from so-called experts. Well, they don't know anything. There are better ways to get answers you want and the care you deserve from trusted professionals and not random people on the internet. ZocDoc helps you find expert doctors and medical professionals that specialize in the care that you need and deliver the type of experience you want. Stop getting advice from hoo-haws and boo-boos, my friends. Get it from a professional that knows what they're talking about. No more Dr. Roulette or scouring the internet for questionable reviews. With ZocDoc, you have a trusted guide to connect you to your favorite doctor you haven't met yet. Millions of people use ZocDoc's free app to find and book a doctor in the neighborhood who is patient-reviewed and fits their needs and schedule just right. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. Go to ZocDoc.com/genius and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/genius. ZocDoc.com/genius.
Always tell on himself. That's how people get exposed. Because when people say like, oh, I'll see your true colors, they think it's going to be some grand reveal. It's like, no, sometimes the truth being told is me unknowingly tapping into something into you, and then you go into super defense mode.
And this is what I love about you too, because like I remember, I was going through some type of shit, and then we had a long phone conversation with somebody else who was a snaky ass bitch, and I think like the process that I was going through was the idea of like, I actually was upset at myself because I knew of this person's behavior and I didn't bet on myself, right? I bet on what other people said. Give this person a chance. They're not like what you, and I let this person in my fucking circle.
You did.
Right? And I have to take personal responsibility for that. Now, on that person's side, they think I'm fake because they're like, oh, you were super nice to me. And I'm like, no. I didn't bet on myself because you showed your true color since the beginning. But through conversations of people that I trusted.
I let other people's judgment of you affect what I already knew.
Exactly. And then when it came out, I felt embarrassed. I was ashamed of myself. I'm like, you knew better. You knew what this person did. You knew how they behaved since day one, but you just had conversations with somebody else. Hey, can you help them out? They're not as bad as you think. And I said, all right, maybe they see something that I don't. And they came and they fucked up my personal life.
Did.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I remember. But again, it's like I told you, right, is that I feel like that's also where some of the downfall of being a believer and being a Christian can, and I told you this then, can actually hinder us, is because as a Christian, like your mindset or what we've been taught is that you always should assume the good.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you assume the bad, and then it seems like other people, again, like you trust, see the good, then you ignore what your gut or what your conscience is telling you, which in this case, could be the Holy Ghost, or maybe, like it could be, right? It could be God being like, that's not it. But because of the way that we're programmed, you fall into it. So again, you taking accountability is one thing, but it's a lesson learned that you bet on yourself.
Yeah. And, that was a real hard time for me because like, I'll be 100% honest with you. There wasn't a fucking day that went by that I don't want to see this person and break their fucking legs. And till this day, if I see them out in the streets, some shit might happen.
Facts, because like when people say God's not through with me yet, I wholly tap into that, because some people will only learn by my whole fist being down your throat.
And
you see what I mean? Like there's some people that in learning, we have different modalities. I'm about to be canceled by all teachers, right? You have visual learners, you have kinesthetic learners, you have auditory learners. Well, some people only learn through physical violence.
They got these knuckle learners.
Yeah. You sometimes, if there are certain people that just need to be punched in the face one time. And I say that every now and then, because the first time you get punched in the face, I bet you that may be your last time.
And this person has not been punched in their face.
And that's why they keep doing the things that they do.
And they're very good at being manipulative and kind of victimizing themselves, where a lot of people believe in their sob stories, right? And so for me, I just always been cordial and kind. Better than me. Yeah.
Better than me.
By the grace of what other people have said. And for them, if they're listening to this, which they probably are, because they
probably are. So just know that if Dave doesn't see you first, if I see you first, you don't get punched by some random black girl that you don't know because you messed around and tried to F up my brother's life.
This is what it is. And this is the thing too. Like on site. This is what the thing is too. And when we always say that, evil kind of reveals itself, right? It's so weird that within these group of friends, how come everybody stayed together, but your group of friends didn't? How come everybody went their other way? How come you don't talk to them anymore, right? How come the people who said that they hated me at first, they went to you, they came back and they're like, I could kind of see what you're saying. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. Either way, you're still cut out too. Because I confided in you. You try to use that against me, went to them and you found out. And now you and I are not friends anymore, right? Because you knew me. Like, I'm always honest about my shit.
Facts.
Right? I may not be the best person. I'm an asshole. Sometimes I'm scatterbrained, all that other stuff. But if you are my friend,
you're loyal.
I'm loyal as fuck. That's just what it is. That's how I grew up. It's just what it is. If you're a periphery friend, you don't count. Listen, I met Megan a few years back. We've had a couple of interactions, but for some reason we're like this.
We're tight.
We're tight. I don't know what the fuck it is. You're in my favorites. After that phone conversation, you put me in my favorites. I actually butt dialed her accidentally because she was a part of an M, and then I hit her up.
But it was like instant. But I also feel like, and this is a lesson that I've had to learn, that it's not always longevity, because I'm one of the few people that my ultimate best friend has been my best friend since we were 5 in first grade, right? So I'm always a person that believes in longevity. But as I become an adult and like grown in adulthood, I realized that it's not always longevity. Sometimes you need to let go of longevity because you guys have outgrown each other.
Ooh, that's hard too. That's fucking hard. I know
Baby,
exactly
it is
which time.
Hard. But what I have learned with even friendships like us and another one, like I have a whole tight-knit circle of friends that I just met when I went to the school that I currently work at, right? But I've realized that it's not about the longevity. It's about the connection. It's about the energy. It's about God ordaining people together. And we have so many people in common that it's not a surprise, but the connection, like when I say brother, like I mean brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not, no, we haven't known each other for 20 years, but every time we break bread, every time we meet up, every time we have a conversation, it is something that is changing for my life or exactly what I need and vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's not even about it's just about the mere, I feel like good always wins. So I feel like the good in you recognizes the good in me. And that's why we're able to be so close and have such intimate, real family conversations, is because it's the goodness. Like there's no, like, I don't have a guard up with you, which I'm a super guarded person. I don't feel like I have to hold anything back. Like I feel like I can just tell you what it is. And I know that it's going to stay there. And I know that the advice or the words that you sow into me are going to be good. And that's what it is.
You know, and that's a really important thing too. I feel like the people that I connect with the most are people who allow me to be who I am, right? And I don't have to worry about these types of things. And not the
persona, like let you be you.
And by the way, too, it doesn't mean that, occasionally I'm not going to say something that's fucked up, but then I'll, because I'm around a good person, I'll be able to kind of fix those things, autocorrect on my own, because I'm around a person that I respect a lot. Creating strong bonds is a really difficult thing for young people nowadays. And they always ask, how did you meet Bart and Gio? How did you guys connect? Guess what? It took time. And we did connect. We sparked off over a long time. But then through time as well, we continue to learn and grow together, right? So Bart and Gio are not perfect. Joe is not perfect. I'm not perfect, right? And guess what? I'll even say this. When I do dumb things, I guarantee you we're going to talk shit about each other amongst our groups. But the moment somebody else says some shit about Joe, Bart, or Jill, you shut the fuck up. Those are my friends. I talk shit about them. You know what I mean?
But I will also tell you to your face. I think that's the other thing people confuse with loyalty, right? Is that me being loyal to you means that I want to see you win.
100%.
So if I want to see you win, if you're doing something that's wrong or that's completely off base, I feel like you should rather me tell you than everybody else tell you. So I can tell you, that was dumb as hell, or like you are crazy,
like you
or like, man,
up.
you effed up, like you need to back up. But you know, because I love you, it's coming from a place of love and wanting to and respect, and I want to see you win versus I'm just finding a reason to tear you down.
And I'll give you a great example about that fucking trash made, bitch made motherfucker. So this person that we were talking about,
trash,
garbage, hot garbage.
If you don't know, you're trash, and I know that you know because I know. You gonna see this podcast and just know the reason why we're not saying your name is so that you don't get the glory.
Exactly.
But you know who you are and you know that you're trash. And I guarantee you, the way you did my brother, it's on and popping.
I'll say this, you're compost, and I wouldn't even use you for my tomatoes. All right,
the freaking tomatoes. And if you're not using them for tomatoes, you're definitely not using them
exactly.
for anything else.
Like, listen, so there was this thing too where we started finding out through other people that this person this is before we stopped being friends.
I feel like I'm getting mad because I'm already biting on my lip.
They were talking shit about us, about, inside family shit, right? Stuff that we're flawed human beings, right? And then we correct each other along the way. But this person was outwardly telling people outside of our circle about the mistakes that we've made, that we fixed, that we're doing better on, that we apologize for, telling other people this stuff. And that's crazy because I would never do that to somebody that I was close to. You are protected here. You can say what you want and you can fuck up with whatever you want in this circle. And so these people will come at us salty as fuck and we don't even know who the fuck they are.
But closness is relative.
Yeah. And so I'll be talking
subjective.
To them. It's like, what do you mean? Where did you hear this from? And of course, they're just going to say it. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Well, let me tell. Oh, are we going to tell secrets? Let's tell secrets then. Right? If that's what it is, let's tell some secrets. That's right. I was like, let me tell you some other shit. Did they tell you about this? Did they tell you about that? And their mind just bam, bam, bam. I was I
was about to say something. I'm going to be quiet.
And they were just like, oh, I didn't know that. I was like, you know why you didn't know that? Because it's none of your business. And you shouldn't have known that. Because it's not my mission for you to look at this person like they're bad because they're flawed and they're going to get better because they're within our circle, but never gave me that grace.
They're not going to get better because that's why they did what they did.
They never gave us that same grace. So it's like, I see that's what it is. I see, okay, now I know that this was never like this and it sucks because we spent a lot of time with these people. But once
travel
in
intimate spaces.
Everything, dude, grew up with their kids and all this other type of stuff. So I'm like, oh, I see loyalty is different for you. I understand. And it might sound funny for people who are like, well, you didn't really like them anyways. It wasn't that. It was just, I always had this feeling that something bad was going to happen and that other people just ingratiate them into my life. And so.
Let me tell you something. And no, I'm not. You had no choice but to allow this person in. And I say that because everybody who you were in close connection and close proximity and in doing life with was letting this person in. You didn't have a choice.
Yeah. And the hard part about this too is like, people don't understand this concept. When I was talking to a friend about this too, is like, well, I hope their life gets fucked up. But I was like, I actually don't want their life to be fucked up. But the reason why is because I want their life to be the best because happy people don't hurt people like this.
Facts.
I want them to be happy.
That's a place of growth.
It really is, because the other side is if I see you, I'll break your kneecaps. But I'm a complicated human being, so I want them to do well because I want them to be happy, so they stop doing this to other people. I want them to be happy because they have children, and I want their children to be able to eat. I want them to grow up not knowing their parents are pieces of shit. I want them to be fucking happy so this cycle fucking ends, because they will continue to do this over and over.
Bad people can't raise healthy children.
And that's the sad part too, but I can only hope that they do grow up healthy, or maybe these kids recognize that their parents aren't the heroes that they thought they are, right? And guess what? They don't even fucking know this too, but their kids, they're wondering what happened between us, right? And guess what with me?
Because this is the thing people forget. by the time your child reaches 2 or 3, those are some of the most pivotal years in child development of their life. So if you have your children around a certain group or a set group of people, and they're the ages of 2 or 3 toddlers, best believe that that is the part of their life when their brain starts developing memories, where they start developing connections, where they start. And I see it firsthand with McKenna, because with Kenna, it doesn't take her being around somebody a long time. It takes her having a good time with somebody, and she will not forget. So their children are definitely wondering, where's Uncle David?
Oh, 100%. And guess what? If I do, and sometimes I have, see them and they message me because they're older now, do you think I'm going to say bad things about their parents?
Nope.
Never. You know why? Because that's not, has nothing to do with them. That's like, you know what? It's like, I'm just busy. You know, like, oh, we still talk here and there. Like, I hope your parents are doing great. You know, they'll sometimes gripe to me about them. I was like, you know what? You should still love your parents. Like, because it has nothing to do with them. But I know for 100% fact, they don't do the same for me.
This is petty though. And I say this as a teacher, is that sometimes, especially when children reach a certain age, it's okay to let them know that their parents suck, right? Because you don't want to gaslight them and you want to show them. So I have a specific student in mind when I say this. And with this student, they already know that their parent, one of their parents is trash. Like, already knows this, right? And so for the longest time, I was trying to get them to change the way they looked at their parents. But then at a certain point, I had to be like, you know what? Sometimes our parents show us the person that we don't want to be.
Ooh, yeah.
And I had to say that because I was thinking even of myself, right? Like, one of the things that my mom never did was she never talked poorly about my father. And what was interesting was everybody else around was telling me the truth. And so it would frustrate me when I would have anger or disappointment towards him and my mom would never acknowledge it. Like, and so finally.
Don't say that about your dad. That's your father. That's your one and only father. Don't say that.
Right. And I'm like, one and only father? I don't know this man. This man up and cheated on you, who you thought you was marrying some preacher, and was not only a cocaine addict, but was a whoremonger. And he's a thought daddy. No, I'm just say the truth. He's a thought daddy. How are my sister and I? My sister and I are 18 months apart, and there's a kid in between us.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Like, there ain't nothing about it. And so when, this is about to sound super messed up, but when he died, first of all, you had the audacity to die on my ultimate best friend's birthday. Trash. Like, that's just how you want to ruin my life, right? But when he died,
even when he left, he fucked up my life.
When he left, you were messing up my life. So when he died, my sister, so the family dynamics, even just for like perspective, I have my older brother who is technically a half sibling. He's my father's son, but his father, obviously, and then his mother were so messed up that when my parents got married, he moved in with us. And when my parents got divorced, he was still with us until he went to college. So he's all I know.
Yeah.
Right? He's my brother. So you have my brother, then you have my sister. My brother is junior, just turned, he's 51, and I'm 37, and I'm a teacher and can't do math. So he is 14 years older than me.
Yeah.
So the three of us, right now, we know that for the King siblings, there's like 12. No lie. But these are the three that I know. Okay. So we decided, okay, we're going to go to the funeral. We're going to go to the service. And my brother, in his right mind, is like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. And so, you know, for me, part of the guilt that I felt was when I made a decision to cut off my father, that automatically made Allison, my little sister, her decision to cut off my father too. Because my mom was like, well, if Megan's cutting him off, you have to cut him off too. right? So I feel like I made the decision for us, and she really wanted to attend the funeral. So I was like, I gotta go. Because, maybe he's changed, maybe he's different, whatever, okay? So we go to this funeral and talk about a meltdown.
A little closer.
Oh, I have a complete meltdown because I'm hearing people get up and talk about him as if he was the most amazing father, to the point one person said,
"Oh, that must have got under your motherfucking skin."
David, when I didn't even talk to you about this because I literally tried to erase this out of my mind, but it's appropriate. So one of the speakers that got up was like, I know Wayne had I know how Wayne had a lot of children, and I know he was a good father just because. And I'm like, then she went on to say that she hasn't even met his children. So why are you now,
how would you know?
Why are you in death saying this man was a good father when you haven't met any of his children? Any. Zero. Getting up to hear guys in his car club talk about like, oh, he raised me when my own father, walked out on me. He raised me. Nigga, why wasn't you raising your own kids? Why weren't you raising your own children?
Yeah.
Why weren't you raising your own children?
Hey, newsflash, motherfuckers. The reason why you thought he was your own father, because he could pick you up and leave you whenever the fuck he wanted.
Facts.
He wasn't there for the good time.
He was your father because your own father walked out, and he can show up and choose to show up when he wanted. Guess what? Kiana, that is my best friend since I've been in 5. She never had even seen a picture of my father. I've known her since I was born in 1985. We met in 1990. And she had never even seen a picture of this man.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Crazy. So I walked out the funeral. Like I couldn't, thank God for one of my best friends, Miss Chalet, who she came and she joined me at the funeral. And when I walked out, she walked right out with me. Cause I was like, I am going to get up here and I'm going to blow up this whole funeral. Like, hi, so I'm one of the children that you never met. And it's so interesting. So I was like, let me just walk out.
Yeah.
Let me just leave. Okay. But that reminded me that it's important to not gaslight kids. Like some of your parents are trash.
Yeah.
And for you to know that you're not crazy, you need to hear that they're trash. Because going to his funeral and hearing people talk about the amazing father and the amazing man that he was, when I knew that he was jealous of my mom's dog and poisoned the dog. When I tell you he was trash, he was trash. Told my mom she was going to be his second wife or third wife, and she was number 6. Like how I love my mom, but my mom, like, I'm like, bruh, you had all the signs. You gotta ask your
mom. It's like, what?
I have tried to ask her.
Like, what
and
was
she
it?
even said my Gana told her that like, I just stopped telling you things because I didn't want it to affect our relationship because I knew it was going to make a difference. I'm like, I'm glad to be here, but girl, you really avoided all the red flags. People were coming to the wedding just to see Wayne get married to somebody else. Like they thought it was amusement, right? So I'm like, I grew up with my mom my mom is amazing. She's an amazing mom. She sacrificed so much for my sister and I. Like after the divorce, she gave her whole life to my sister and I, right? Which is part of the reason why I'm a people pleaser, because she shouldn't have given her whole life to my sister and I. She shouldn't have. But I grew up with her trying to sugarcoat things about my father, where I actually needed to know the truth. I needed to know that he was trash. Yeah. Because if he's trash, then I'm not missing out on anything.
Then you're not like battling with this internal idea of like, what the fuck? Like I see these bad things, but everybody's saying great things about him. I don't know what's going on. I see what you're saying. I think like the whole,
got it. So at a certain point, you need to tell the kids, if the kids are seeing the things that you see, you could tell them things like,
in a way, yeah.
You could tell them things in a way that says, and for me, what I tell my students, I'll say, yeah, your parent is trash. But I say, who's perfect? The kids say nobody. And I say, sometimes you just have to understand that humans are doing the best that they can. And it may not be enough for you but this may be the best that they can offer.
Yeah.
And just put it like that, because you don't want to gaslight them.
And tell them, oh, they're perfect. They're great.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Or ignore it, right? Yeah. Because, hopefully children are going to school and becoming critical thinkers. And becoming critical thinkers means that you're also becoming observant.
Yeah.
And the more that you instill right and wrong, that means that the stronger my moral compass is going to be. Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at a person, yes, this person is half of my genetic makeup. Right? But if I can see that they're trash, I need somebody to let me know that I'm not tripping.
Let me ask you something. How do you function as like a people pleaser? Because I'm definitely not that. Like, how hard is that to navigate? Because I've been learning to kind of be more of a people pleaser to a certain extent, instead of, throwing gasoline and burning everybody across my way. And, it took me a time to think about that too. It's like, why? It's like, how come sometimes you don't take into consideration of like how other people feel, which is probably one of my worst qualities. And I'm not saying that I'm out here just roasting everybody, right? But I definitely choose honesty as a route first, but sometimes my tact isn't the best, right? I've gotten a lot better since my wife. She's helped me out a lot. It's like, hey, sometimes you feel a certain way. Yeah, it's honest, but shut the fuck up every now and then. It's like, you didn't have to go and do that.
Just because it's honest doesn't mean this is something on Instagram, but it like resonated with me, which is like, honesty doesn't have to be brutal.
Exactly. And I've learned that a lot. And I learned where it came from me, because the people I grew up around that were really close were just like that. They were brutal as fuck. Mm-hmm. And I've absorbed that. There's a positive side to that as well. If you do survive it, is that those people that were like that, they're still my friends till this day, because we're just always open and honest with each other. Most people aren't like that, and I have to understand that I'm a little bit of an outsider, Mm-hmm. So I've been able to navigate that. But as like a people pleaser, like, that has to be fucking exhausting.
It is. But so I think for me, one of the things that attributed to being a people pleaser is, and I've realized it's in my family lineage. So this was super interesting, was finding out from my Ghana that my great-grandparents were not interested in desegregation. Mm. So they were from Waxahachie, Texas, which in its own way was kind of like a Black Wall Street. Mm. So my uncle was mayor. Like, damn. They had, but it was like a town that was a town of hardworking, affluent Black people. 20 minutes on the suburbs of Dallas, Texas. And they were fine. Like, even in I had to interview my Ghana for a class in college. And one of the things I asked her was, how did you deal with prejudice? And she said, I didn't. Like, we just stayed where we knew we were welcome. Saw their green book and everything. So they truly were like, we are good. Y'all just leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. Right? And so
that's fascinating.
It's crazy. No, it blew my mind. And even in like research, Brown versus Board of Education was not about desegregating schools, which is this myth that they tell us. It was about providing freedom schools or Black schools with the same level of money that they were white schools. Mm. And that the Supreme Court was like, we just need to get rid of this. So it was actually, this sounds crazy, but in some older Black Americans' minds, specifically both of my grandparents are deceased. But my Ghana was born in 1921, just to like put into, or I'm sorry, 1924, just to put in like her age, right? And so they weren't asking for desegregation. They were perfectly fine going to HBCUs. They went to Prairie View. They just wanted to be left alone. And so when the desegregation of schools opened up, there's actually a book, and I cannot think of the name of the book, but it talks about this Black man who went from being the principal of his own school to then, after the desegregation of schools, becoming the janitor. And talks about specifically, so when Brown versus Board of Education happened was 1954. They started desegregating the schools. My mom was 3. So because they knew how the Texas school system was, my whole family, literally, on my mom's side, that whole family left Texas and moved to California because California schools were already desegregated.
So they had a heads up. They were already doing what they were doing.
So they were like, we're just going to move out here. And my uncle was, talk about family trauma. My uncle was already in school. So they sent him out here first to live with my great-grandparents. My great-grandparents were able to like close up shop because they were retired and move out here first, right? But my uncle, being that my uncle is so, I'm telling all the family business, but being that my uncle had recently found out that my grandfather was not his biological father, he thought he was moved out here because they didn't want him. So then he became an alcoholic, like drug abuse, like all these things, thinking, oh, they sent me away. They abandoned me, right? My mom and my aunt never knew why they left Texas. They never knew. And I only knew this because for one of my Black Studies classes, I had to interview my Ghana. So I knew all of this. And when I tell you, I just told this to them like in 2021, they had no idea. My uncle didn't even know that my aunt and my mom knew that my grandfather wasn't his biological father. It's crazy, right? Because
you want to talk a breakdown in communication.
It was, but also the thing I tell my mom and my aunt and my uncle is I was like, y'all were living it. So it's easy for Ghana to recall it to me because I'm asking her to tell me about different things in her life. How did we get to California? Y'all never asked because y'all lived it. So much of my family being in California is hinged on the fact of schools were becoming desegregated. And when they moved here, in my grandparents' mind, they were like, well, we got to fit in. So what does fitting in look like? Assimilating to whiteness. So part of being a people pleaser was to be successful. My grandpa ended up being a postmaster in LA. My grandparents owned outside of him working for the U.S. Postal Service. He also owned a successful mechanic shop. So they were homeowners, they were business owners, and they thought that the reason why they were those things was because they assimilated to whiteness. So that was also part of the people pleasing. Then growing up in a very Christian Pentecostal household, that also comes with this ideology of obedience, right? And so when I say like being a people pleaser, it was like instilled in me. Like I literally watched my mom and my Ghana and my aunts and my uncles living out, don't let your brother have an ought against you, right? Like that was a scripture they lived by. Like if you do something, and even if you're not trying to make it offensive, but offend somebody, you got to apologize. So I grew up this way. Then I grew up feeling, because of my parents' divorce, feeling like, well, if I'm easy to love, meaning I always show up for you and I don't ask much for you in return, then you won't leave me.
Oh, shit. Yeah, yeah.
So I spent like a solid 34 years operating that way. So it's really been in the last 3 years that I felt like I've been like, you know what? I want to apologize. And to be honest, a lot of that was the awakening that came after the murder of George Floyd. Because and it should have happened earlier than that, right? Because even with Hunter, my husband, college educated, he works for PwC. He goes to a Clipper game with one of the partners and directors when he worked for PwC. He's in a suit and everything. And because he was drinking at the game, he decides he wants to take the train back to Long Beach. Meeting him at the Long Beach station, he doesn't show up. I'm like, what is happening? Calling our friends, I'm calling everybody. Turns out he got arrested on the train. And it's like, how does a Black man who's college educated, works for a big 3 company
in a suit
get arrested on the train? And so then that even humanized it to where, it doesn't matter what you wear. You just have to, Kanye said, even if you want to Benz, you still a nigga in a coupe.
Yeah.
And I heard that line, but I didn't understand that line. And it wasn't until 33, 34, where I was like, regardless of how I show up, I cannot change the color of my skin, and I won't. So even if I talk like this and my name's Megan Ashley King Mitchell and you don't know what I am, it doesn't matter. So then why am I going to assimilate? Why am I going to code switch? So then I just stopped. So I've been having to unlearn things that were ingrained inside of me even before I was born.
I mean, there's a lot of people who are kind of learning that, who are, if people who have listened to this podcast, you will hear me say 2 different things. And these are 2 very distinct things. I say Black American and African American.
Mm-hmm.
Black American is not African American.
It is not.
And it's, people
That's why I love you, because you understand the nuance.
People used to get on my case about that. It's like, you're supposed to say African American. I was like, no, motherfucker. There are 2 different things.
2 different cultures, 2 different identities, 2 different experiences.
There are people from Africa who know their lineage, who came here on purpose, right? And there are people who are Black Americans by choice. There are people who are Black Americans who grew up here because they came here as property and chattel. There's very different things, and people find that
totally
distinction.
Different.
And
that's why I miss teaching 5th grade, is because I could explain to my students, if you ask Toby Chukwu, he's not going to be able to tell you the ramifications of being a descendant of enslaved people, because his parents willingly came over here about 25 years ago.
Yeah, and this is not on some woke shit. It's just some facts,
it's
right?
Facts.
It's how people feel. And I'll
Juneteenth doesn't mean anything to my friends who are Nigerian American or Senegalese American
or have their own
Ghanaian
culture.
American, because they have their own language. They have their own culture. They have their own language. They can go back to their country of origin, because again, Africa is a continent. Not a country, so they can go to their country in Africa and see their family members.
Yeah. And so, people didn't really understand that. And, people were trying to correct me. And I'm like, am I getting something wrong? It's only just because, but once again, it's like I grew up around Black culture, and then,
and
Black
you
folks.
grew up, one of your best friends is African American.
And
so you understand the nuance. You understand the difference.
Exactly. And one of the hardest parts, and my friend Amono told me about this, where she goes, in her family too, they never understood. And they actually have the I didn't know this, but she said African people have the mind state of an immigrant, right? So if anything else, it's very similar to Asian immigrants.
Facts.
Right? So
this is total facts.
They don't relate to the Black American experience. Not. So one of the hardest parts for a lot of African immigrants who come here, they also have this judgmental outlook on Black Americans, right?
1,000%.
And they go, well, we're not them, so people are going to know the difference. And the hard pill for them to swallow is that they don't give a fuck.
They don't.
They just see that melanin in your skin, and they go, you're Black.
And they automatically, even when I look with my in-laws, one of the biggest takeaways I learned from my in-laws is that even though they're Panamanian, they're Black. So they always identify as Afro-Panamanian, because if you see my husband's abuelita, you're going to think she's just a Black granny.
Yeah.
Until you open up her mouth and you're like, wait, why do you have a Spanish accent? Because she was born and raised in Panama.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Speaks Spanish. Spanish was her first language.
Yeah.
And so they understand it. And I think the reason why Afro-Panamanians or Afro-Latinas and Afro-Latinos or Afro-Latinx, whatever you want to identify as, understand it is because even in their country, they're still viewed as the minority. They're still viewed as the lowest on the totem pole, right? But when you come in from Africa, once you leave Morocco, once you leave African countries that were colonized, that's a key word, right? Because we forget that Egypt and Morocco are African countries. They were just colonized, which is why they don't look like the rest of Africa, right? They are in towns where everybody, if you go to Lagos, Nigeria, it was one of the most awakening experiences for me. And I feel like that was kind of kismet, that was the first African country that I visited, and the city that I visited in Lagos, was because I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's Black.
Yeah, it's trippy, isn't it?
It is crazy.
That's how I felt when I went to Korea.
I believe it.
And I remember I said this phrase and I was like, everybody needs to go back from where they came from. I was like, hold on a second. Not like that. But what I meant was like, you go back and you feel this like, oh, you just kind of belong. Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's trippy as fuck. You know what I mean? And it's kind of comforting.
It is. This is why I don't have many regrets in life, but one of my biggest, and it's actually my mama's regret, what she also regrets, is not letting me go to HBCU. Mm-hmm. Because all of my friends that attended HBCU, you cannot tell them nothing. Mm. And even if we put it at this, like Diddy, you cannot tell Diddy that Diddy forever remains relevant because he believes he should be relevant. Mm-hmm. Product of Howard University. Mm. There is something about being in spaces that are occupied by people that look like you that are excelling.
Yeah. It's empowering.
It's empowering.
Yeah.
It reminds you that you are not a blip on somebody's totem pole, or that you're not an afterthought, or that you shouldn't be grateful, that you deserve to be here.
Or you just have to like prove yourself all the time, right? And you know, what was that one movie? Was it a Jordan Peele movie? But basically there was a line where he was like, why do black people always have to be excellent? Like, you know what I mean?
But that is the fact.
It's like, how come we always have to prove ourselves to be up here just so we could be right here? You
facts.
Know? And, you know,
that is facts though, is that being black and being excellent is exhausting.
Yeah. Because you always have to be on your P's and Q's.
Always.
Because you're trying to offset, you know, the negative stereotypes that you see on social media. Like, we're not saying...
Or even the implicit bias that people have grown up with.
Yeah. And like, we're not saying too, like, look, you're going to be able to cherry pick out of all the pieces of shit on Twitter, on YouTube that are Black Americans, right? But we could do that with anybody, right? You could literally do that with anybody. And sometimes when people hear... you know, you speak the way that you do, Roy, or any other, they automatically put you into this box of what your intelligence is, right? But it's like, sometimes you just don't know. People just speak a certain way. You haven't had a conversation with this person. You don't know anything about this person. And whatever your experience was, you got to talk to a person to get to really know them. And, you know, the hardest part about that for a lot of people when they, you know, I say it too, like, America is definitely, it's the hot topic. Like, race obsession is really big here, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because the whole country and constructs of our government, of our hierarchy, of our social classes are built on race.
Yeah. And like, the hard part is for people who live outside of this country, that they don't understand is that how come all Americans talk about race? And they do laugh at us about this a lot. And I get it.
They should, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then there's the other side of it too. It's like, so for example, there was a video of a young, there's two black British girls, and they were talking about making fun of American people, right? There's like, why don't you get like, you know, I don't understand Black American boys or girls because you guys don't know where you fucking came from. And it was like, yeah, because they were slaves.
We were enslaved.
What the fuck are you talking? But she didn't understand it.
But that's the thing, is that the Black American experience is one that is truly unique.
It's unique
to only this country and only Blacks in this country.
And here's the trippy part about it too. She kept on, you know, dogging this guy, saying like, no, seriously, tell me. She goes, I'm Nigerian. I know where I'm from. Where are you from? He goes, he's not even answering. He doesn't want to dignify. He goes, he just looks at the camera like, somebody want to explain to this girl what's going on here?
But you want to know why? Is because in other countries, they don't like... America is the only country where you will have to learn about what should be one of the most horrendous parts of our history, which is slavery. Like in Germany, they don't teach about the Holocaust. Why? Because it is a blemish on their history.
Yeah.
But in America, this is the only country where you are going to not only glorify people that were slave owners, but then teach people about slavery and think that that's okay.
Yeah. And, you know, whenever I go online, people always have something to say about a culture that they don't really know about, or they never really partook in, right? And look, you could talk about stats and everything else, and then people could start bringing in their facts about why the things are the way that they are. At the end of the day, the only thing I ask is like, if I went in through your phone, right, and I saw pictures of your friends, how many of them are Black? And if you don't have those people from a community that you have never spoken to, how do you really fucking know? You can only tell by the stuff that you hear from people, right? Because I could do the same to you. I could do the same to you. I could cherry pick all these like shitty other fucking things that I've seen like white people do, Asian people do, Mexican or whatever, right? But the one thing that kind of stays true to me that I've seen a lot is that even though that you have people in your community who have just as bad qualities, they never get highlighted like they do in the Black community. And that's how I feel, right? And that's what I see a lot.
But that is a fact. Like, I think the thing is that it's not just the way that you feel. It is a fact.
Yeah.
It is a fact. Like, to be Black and successful in America is exhausting. And I'm even coming from a place of privilege. I'm coming from a place of socioeconomic privilege where I've been permitted, and I say permitted because these weren't necessarily spaces that were designed for me, but that I've been able to infiltrate these spaces because of privilege. You know, like, I'm not a first generation college graduate. My mom had her master's degree before I was even born.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So of course I'm going to go to the best schools. And even teaching the Cerritos, one of the things that I used to lead by, because I would know, I'm like, okay, I'm teaching at this school, and this school is a high-performing school, and I'm a Black teacher. So what is the best way to win over parents? Oh, I tell you, I'm a Whitney graduate. Immediately.
Yeah.
And you have enough friends who grew up in Cerritos and went to Whitney to know what that means. So the moment that parents find out that I'm a Whitney graduate, I am the queen of their castle.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that already shows you how intelligent I am. That shows you my experience.
Hard worker.
The fact that I went there from 7th through 12th grade, I graduated from there. Like, I got a full ride to college. Like, that eliminates so many questions. And I use that absolutely, because that is going to lessen the chances of you questioning decisions that I make or grades that I give your student, because I'm Black, because the fact that I graduated from Whitney is going to triumph over the fact that I'm Black. So any doubts that you had for me, any doubts that you had against me, the fact that I said Whitney at high school, like, that changes everything.
You know what's really hard too? Like, I see from a lot of young kids, especially young Black kids who don't really perpetuate the popular stereotype that people see of a young Black American, right? Like, they don't listen to hip hop, slang, whatever, whatnot, right? And sometimes people in the Black community, they shit on these kids.
Oh, 1,000%.
You're not Black. It's like,
that was me.
It's hard. You know, it's like, how come this kid...
You talk like a white girl. And my name was Megan before it was popular.
Yeah. You know, and that's the hard part. You talk like
a white girl. Like, going to church off of 79th in Vermont and talking the way that I talk. This is after having a plethora of Black friends and going through Cal State Long Beach and walking through Little Crenshaw that I talk like this now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was like, hi. And I was a cheerleader. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hi, David.
Yeah.
Like, I was always, why you talk like a white girl? Or you think you better than a white girl? And then don't let the fact that I'm going to come dripped out, and not dripped. Like, I was coming in the real stuff. Like, I was in head to toe. Like, thank God my mom was college educated, because all the trends I had.
Yeah.
The designer bags was not like, you know, this whole premise of soft life. I was raised in a soft life.
Yeah.
That made it worse.
Yeah.
That's why I had to learn how to fight.
Yeah. Because people always had some shit to say.
Because I was at church conventions when people wanted to say something slick. So now I have to show you I'm not a punk. At a church convention, I was laying hands, not the way that the pastors were talking about.
And this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's so hard sometimes. Like, you know, and I do want people to understand too, not just with the Black community, Asian community, or your community, whatever it is, even with white folks. it's not a monolith. Everybody's different. There's different fucking flavors, and you just gotta let people exist, right? So when you see somebody who's Asian that speaks a certain way, they talk a certain way, let them exist. They don't exist in the way that you did, but they do exist, and they're still a part of your community, whether you like it or not. Like I saw this one kid on TikTok, and I really felt for the kid because he just
I need some more wine.
Oh hell yeah! Listen, motherfucker.
Wine break. Are you making me kill the bottle?
You have the other
equally as much, but
you have the other half. So like I was watching this kid on TikTok, and he was just like, he was a preppy kid, right? And he's like, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of other fucking black kids coming up to me, making fun of me, telling me I'm not black enough, that I'm not down with anything. He goes, why the fuck should I be ashamed that my parents are college educated, they work fucking hard, and I have the things that I fucking have? No, I'm not going to talk like you. No, I'm not going to do things like you. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm a fucking black American.
I'm black.
Yeah. So don't take that shit away from me, you know?
Because I think so much, and which this is what I love about our generation, is that we are redefining the black experience. Because I feel like I'm definitely like, I try to be unbiased with so many things, but when it comes to generation, I'm biased AF.
Yeah.
Boomers mess it up for everybody. Right? My mom is a boomer.
Everything we have in consensus, like we could all agree about that shit.
My mom, my aunts, they are boomers. Their sense of entitlement is like no other, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing about black boomers was black boomers were taught that to be successful, you had to assimilate to whiteness. So that's where the idea of code switching came up.
Mm-mm-mm.
Gen X, y'all messed up a lot too, because y'all are drug addicts.
Yeah.
Okay? Gen X, y'all are wild.
Y'all want, this is what it is how I see it, is that
they are wild.
Like some of you younger people, you want everything the world has to offer.
Oh,
but
that's
you
Gen
don't,
Z.
Oh, but you want nothing to work for.
You want nothing to work for. That's Gen Z. We gonna get on them too.
Yeah.
Like
we all have our problems, you know what I'm saying? And that's the hardest part for me. It's like you keep seeing here, but you're not seeing the rest, everything here, you know?
Gen X is the party generation. So they lack efficiency and they want everything to be a turnip and a party. Mm-hmm. So they were just like, okay, well, I mean, this is a house party situation. Like they were like, we want to turn up and then, okay, we'll go to college and become smart. Our generation, which technically we're Zennials because we're in between Gen X and Millennials, we had it the hardest. And part of the reason why we had it the hardest was because we had to endure war. We had to bridge the gap between digital natives and non-digital and digital immigrants, right? We also were raised by boomers or older Gen Xers, which they had unhealed trauma. But what we're trying to do now through healing is we are trying to show up in spaces authentically ourselves and show that even me being my most authentic self is excellent.
Yeah.
Then we have millennials who were the beginning of participation ribbons. And then we have Gen Z, which is the kings and queens of participation ribbons. And that's why they're so messed up, is because they feel like they should get the accolades. That's who I'm currently teaching now is Gen Z. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, well, we all get an award. Or why did you give me this grade? And I easily tell my kids, I said, you look at the rubric and see why you earned this grade.
Yeah.
I don't give grades. Y'all earn them, right? And so for us, I'm hoping that one of the things that we can teach our kids is how to authentically show up in every space. Because it even took me a long time as a teacher. Like until the 2020, 2021 school year, I was not authentically showing up as myself. When it was summer, I would get braids. But the moment school started, I would press my hair or get my hair flat ironed. Mm-hmm. When it came to wearing clothes and things to school, like I was going to look what I felt like was a part of a teacher. Versus now, you're going to get the chains. You're going to get all 9 earrings. You're going to get the nails. You're going to get the braids 24/7 because I can't do mine and McKenna's hair. And you're going to get the J's. And you also going to get the best education you ever could get sitting right in my classroom with me looking how I am.
100%.
And I'm unapologetically showing up this way. Mm-hmm. And what I'm grateful for, and this sounds crazy, but My principal's a white man who gets it. And it's sad that I have to say that he gets it because in some ways he allows me to show up authentically as myself because it's how he wants me to be. Because if he didn't, I wouldn't be able to.
See, this is the hard part too. It's like when I wonder if people resonate with this is if you are out there and you've ever asked this question and you've had this very awkward conversation, you'll see this happen where somebody will, like I've had this conversation before. This is a very civil conversation where they kind of express their feelings of like, yeah, I want, people around my kids or people that I'm around not to be ghetto. And I was like, all right, cool. What's ghetto to you, right? And they want to say what they want to say, but they're kind of,
it all boils down to blackness.
I was like, listen, just say what you want to say. I'm not mad. Like, I just want to know. I just want a conversation, right? They're like, well, sometimes you get hella ghetto. I was like, what's ghetto? And they're like, well, I was like, well, I'll just explain this to you, right? What's bad about it? What is so bad about it? Explain to me. Mm-hmm. Let's say I'm not cursing. I'm not saying inappropriate things, nothing sexual or whatever, whatnot. But you hear me speak with a certain way that I do sometimes. What is so bad about it aside from the fact that I speak different than you? Mm-hmm. What is so bad? What am I preaching? What am I saying? What am I teaching? What is so bad? And, the dude was like, man, fuck, I don't know. It's just like, I think I just grew up knowing that right there it's what low level people do. I was like, yeah. And that's honest to you.
And that's the problem.
I was like, but here's the thing though. I'll be honest with you. I'm smarter than you, bitch. We're laughing. We're friends. You know what I mean? It's like,
no, but it's the
like,
truth.
Like, like big facts. Like, look, you constantly say you look up to me, right? But then you're judging the way that I speak. It sounds a little weird to me, right?
It sounds very weird.
But I'm not judging the way you speak. I think that's just you, right? Because you and I grew up differently. Like,
because we come from a humanizing place.
Yeah, and like even for me now too, like the hardest part is that people will always see it. Like I do constantly code switch. That's the part of my generation. It's always going to happen. It just happens. I don't even know when the fuck it happens. It just is what it is, right?
It's because it's something that's ingrained in us.
Yeah, I can't get a job.
I've been working really hard to try and not code switch, but I'm also like, okay, Meg, you can't use the N-word everywhere. Yeah. Right? And you know what? Say what you want to say, but I'm a firm believer in double standards. So yes, I'm allowed to say the N-word because I'm fully black.
You know what's so funny
Don't
about
try
that?
this at home, folks. If you're not like, just because you have friends like that, you're not equipped to say it. But I think it's also hard though, is that when we talk, earlier when we were talking about advocacy, is being in spaces where the gatekeepers are white and knowing that I'm smarter than you.
Yeah. It's
like
hard.
I am more qualified to be here than you, especially being an elementary teacher. Being an elementary teacher is interesting because we are some of the most qualified teachers out there, and we get the bottom of the barrel from our districts. Meaning secondary teachers, and I can say this because I have multiple credentials. So I'm coming from a place of I can teach from K. I can't teach TK. I can teach K all the way to 12th grade. So with elementary teachers, we oftentimes get disrespected because we're nurturing. But what they also forget to remember is that while we're nurturing, we're also equipped to teach all the subjects. So in California, 7th through 12th grade, you need a single subject credential. Single subject means you take some C sets in a specific subject, one subject, and then you're allowed to teach 7th through 12th grade. Elementary, we have to be experts of everything. So we have to take a C set in math, ELA, history, science, PE, and fine arts. That's 6. We have to be subject matter experts in 6 subjects. Then on top of that, which secondary teachers don't have to take, is we have to take the RECA. And what the RECA does is the RECA tells me or tells you that I am able to teach children how to read. By the time you get to middle school, 6th grade, actually, the assumption is that you already know how to read. So that's why kids, when they struggle in high school and junior high school, they don't get any help. They just continue to fall further behind because those teachers, not saying y'all don't work hard, but y'all don't got the same credentials that we have. They're not qualified to. So you have literally the RICA, I can't even. Hey Siri, what does RICA stand for? Oh shoot, I gotta unlock. Siri, what does RICA stand for? It's like reading. I'm gonna look it up. But you have English teachers, or you look it up. What does RICA stand for? You have English teachers who cannot teach kids how to read because the assumption is by the time they get to them, they already know how to read. Well, if you look at California test scores, you already know that that's not the truth.
Fucking Rico came up, racketeer.
No, not racketeering. Google, you know what to look up.
Reading instruction competent assessment.
Hey. All elementary teachers have that. Reading instructional competent assessment. Other teachers don't have this, but they look down on elementary school teachers. And the thing is that we are the foundation. You can't go to college unless you graduate elementary school. You can't go to middle school unless you promote from elementary school. If we were to pour in more resources and support for elementary school teachers, we would have a lot less intervention. In secondary school, you would have a lot less emotional trauma. In secondary school, you would have a lot less cultural bias. If we switch ethnic studies, there's now an ethnic studies initiative in California for high school students. By the time you get to high school, you've already gone through 8 or 9 years of racism.
Yeah.
Whereas if you started teaching kids in TK, cultural appreciation, culturally responsive pedagogy, by the time they get to 6th grade, they'd be proficient at it. And so because of that, for me as a Black teacher, I'm a Black 6th grade teacher in elementary school, which most elementaries are, TK through 5th. My district is still 6th grade.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the few chances that you will have as a Black student to see a person in power that is Black, that is wholly Black. Authentically Black. I make no apologies for being Black. I have Black art in my classroom. I talk about my experience as a Black woman. I invite my students to talk about their experiences as people or non-people of color. And so my hope is by the time you end 6th grade, you will have a lens into all these different cultures that even if you get to middle school, you'll still have the understanding from 6th grade.
And I think that's really important, specifically in America, right? Because America is so integrated with so many different cultures. It might not be the same in other people who are that are more homogenous societies, so it's not going to come up. But when you're in California, it is really preparing you to live in this state specifically, or maybe even in this country. Because I know
California is super, even... Like we pay the California luxury tax of convenience, but California is still super segregated.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And I think before other people, when they hear this, they go, well, isn't that a little personal? I was like, I actually don't think teaching kids how to deal with different cultures is personal because it's just a part of your everyday in this country.
It is what is going to be expected.
Yeah. So
cultural proficiency.
It'll help them out.
Yeah. Cultural proficiency is a bonus.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I was originally saying that was because I was like, elementary teachers are so looked down upon, yet we spend the most time with students. When I taught middle school, I taught block schedule and I taught a regular schedule. So I was either with you for 90 minutes or I was with you for 55 minutes. As an elementary teacher, all 180 days are spent with me.
Yeah.
Even if I have a sub, you still come back to me. So I have a lot of influence on your life and people look down on that.
It's interesting. This is kind of not really connected, but I definitely had some people come at me because, they never ever listen to everything that I'm saying and they don't allow me to
they
explain
only
my
listen
thoughts.
To the hot takes or the
snippets. So I said this and it hit a button and people didn't get it. I still left it on the podcast. I don't give a fuck. Was I thought that the idea that we have to teach Black history in this country from an outside perspective is dumb because Black history is just American history. So just teach it a part of American history. You don't have to call it Black history.
You don't.
It is American history.
But I think that is so American in itself that unless you are white American, your history is other.
Yeah.
Asian American history. I'm like, people gonna get offended, but I say this all the time. America has a historic issue of immigration problems. And the immigration problem started in the 15 and the 1600s. Why? Because if you are white in America, you are an immigrant.
Yeah.
And they forget that. Y'all have convenient revisionist history.
Yeah.
America was built on the idea of immigration. So the fact that you are trying to target specific cultural groups and not allow them into a country, your forefathers, the framers were immigrants.
You know, the trippy thing too is like the question of, why do we have to go ahead and teach Black history? No, you're asking the wrong question. You're asking, how come I have to teach this part of my history?
Of my history.
You are American. This is a part of your history.
Bruh, every time you go into the White House, you're looking at Black history.
Yeah, it's not.
Every time you stop at a stoplight, you're looking at Black history. But let's also not forget the fact that even in California, we have a revisionist history when it comes to Latinx Americans and Asian Americans. They built California.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
built.
Like, I always wonder too, what's the problem? Like, why are you so against it? And I think what they think too is that there's like a specific agenda in terms of, oh, you guys just want to go ahead and up your own culture. It's like, no, I'm just telling you to just tell it like how it is. And it's not a problem. Just tell it like how it is. Like the idea, like slavery is such a big, like I said, this is from somebody who is an immigrant Asian person. And it's just weird because I do see this a lot in Asian countries too. Well, they'll get rid of certain tragedies, like as if it never happened. Like it's doesn't exist.
Bruh, it happened.
But we're fucking American. I'm proud to be a fucking American. So we should have the freedom to go ahead and talk about the things that happen here and learn from it. You know what I'm saying?
James Baldwin, he literally said, the reason why I'm critical of America is because I love her so much.
100%. And so I think because we grew up in California, they do teach, Black history as a part of our American history stuff. And it's always been a little odd for me where I'm like, why is this called Black history, not just American history?
And why is it only taught in February?
Yeah, it's a huge part of this country. It's a huge part of how this country was built. It's a huge part of everything, right? And it's okay to talk about it. It's the idea that we think that we could pull this part out of our history books because we just don't want to talk about it, even though it is a very integral part of this country's story. And that's just how I see it. But then, when I said this, they're like, you want to get rid of Black history? It's like, no, you dumb fuck. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying that it needs to not be its separate history.
Yeah, it is.
It shouldn't be a separate class. It shouldn't be like...
It's a part of the curriculum. It should be a part of the curriculum.
It's a part of the curriculum, but it should be ingrained in it in a way that doesn't make it othered.
100%.
Like the way that American slavery is presented as a blip in American history. But you cannot teach American history without talking about the fact that this country was built on the backs of indigenous and enslaved Africans.
Yeah.
You cannot. And I think that's what I think.
I just don't understand the problem. Like, what's the problem here?
Because then you have to admit.
It's history. It happened. It's history. Teach history.
But because then you have to admit that it was wrong. Because that's the issue that we have, right? Is that the Selma movie, right? Everybody was up in arms because it showed that Martin Luther King was a cheater. Okay? It's a fact. That doesn't negate for the fact that he was advocating for civil rights. That doesn't negate the fact that he was fighting and that he did good things. But we forget that our pioneers and people that we look up to can be flawed.
100%.
We try to make our people heroes and martyrs, like Olympians almost in a way, right? George Washington, okay, he was a great soldier, but you know what else? He owned slaves and he was kind of a trash person. Abraham Lincoln, don't tell me he freed the slaves. He didn't, because critical thinking would tell me if the South had already seceded in the Union, writing the Emancipation Proclamation for a territory that said they weren't a part of the United States, that would literally be me writing to China saying y'all are a democratic country. I don't have any control over that.
Yeah.
Right? And then also the fact that even Abraham Lincoln thought there should be limits. He blatantly wrote in a letter that he did not believe that Black men should have the same rights as white men. And that's okay to tell the truth.
It just happened.
It just happened.
But people have a problem. Remember when 12 Years a Slave came out? How many people were mad? I'm like, this is a slavery movie. What the fuck are you talking about?
But it was also facts that people didn't realize that slave owners in the South would send U.S. Marshals. You want to know how the Marshals began? That's how they began. They were slave hunters, but then they will also kidnap freed Blacks and drag them to the South.
Yeah.
That's not a story, that's fact. And guess what? If we know the facts, I always tell my kids, I'm going to tell you the truth in hopes that you learn from the truth and don't repeat it.
Yeah.
The reason why America is in the racial endemic that we are now is because people aren't telling the truth.
They're getting shocked by everything.
They're getting shocked by everything.
I can't believe this. I can't believe that. Like, look, you look into any country's history, you're gonna find some
even African history is flawed.
Of course, there's a lot of stuff out there. You know what I mean? And like I said too, the truth shouldn't have to hurt you in the way that it does, but you should acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. You know,
and learn from it.
Yeah, it just is what it is. Like when I hear stuff,
even with Christianity, it's flawed. History is, the Bible is one of the greatest history books because it unapologetically shows flawed people. There's only one person in the Bible that was perfect, and that was Jesus himself. And we still saw him get angry.
Flipping tables.
We still saw him not like being about that life, right? But I'm like, we try to sugarcoat, even with my father, right? Like you're trying to sugarcoat history. You can still pay, I'm about to say that word. He did not deserve to be respected. I don't care if he gave me half my DNA. That's all he did. Mm-hmm. He doesn't deserve to be respected. But even if you wanted to honor him, let's say you had a positive experience with him, you could talk about that positive experience, and him being a trash father can still be true.
Yeah, 100%.
But we are in a society, we're in a country that doesn't believe that. The same way that we can demonize Hitler, but you still want to praise Andrew Jackson is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to me. Right? Because in America, we believe that our heroes can't have flaws. One of my this is gonna seem off topic, but it's very relevant, right? Part of the beef that the Avengers had with Captain America was that he never admitted where he came from.
Yeah.
And he never admitted his flaws. It wasn't until Endgame where you saw him as a flawed person. Actually, I'll stall you out. It wasn't until Captain America Winter Soldier where you saw him sticking up for his friend, which was the unpopular thing to do, that you really saw him be flawed. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's like, while I am a diehard MCU Marvel comic fan, not just the movies, been like this my whole life, I thought that was so telling because I couldn't stand Captain America until that movie. Because you have to be humanized. You have to be flawed.
Yeah.
The human experience, I connect more with people that are flawed and that say, Jesus ain't through with me yet. Mm-hmm. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to pretend like I'm perfect. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm sorry, plant. But I'm still going to do good where I can.
Yeah.
That's what it means to be human.
A lot of young people need to know that too, because I feel like when you're younger, and this is like me included, we all become absolutist. Everything is an absolution.
Oh, it's black or white. There is no gray.
It's the craziest thing to say.
Especially when you graduate college.
Yeah. Oh, kids.
Because then you know everything.
Hey, let me tell you something. I know there's people in college who are listening to this. Let me tell you guys this right now. You are the future, but you're the dumbest fucking person on earth right now. Because all of you think in absolutes. Everything is absolutes. Your love lights are absolutes. How you think, your morals, Everything is absolute, and the world doesn't really work that way.
Do you know how many worst breakups I've had in my life or life-changing classes I've taken in my life? Oh my God. I'll never be the same. Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is the worst thing ever. My college ex-boyfriend, I was like, oh my gosh, he told me that I didn't have the qualities that I wanted in a wife. That almost broke me. This man is gay. And I'm so happy for him. But of course, I don't have the qualities. But my thing is like in hindsight, that almost broke me, bruh. You didn't want to marry me.
You don't even like pussy. The fuck are you
don't even like pussy.
Well, that's such a perfect example of what it is to be in college. Speaking like you know so much about everything when you don't know shit. You don't know what it's like to be the perfect wife. That's funny. You don't like pussy. Like, the fuck would you know? You know what I'm saying?
How would you know? But at that time, that shook me. And I didn't want to, the thing is that I didn't want to be with him. Like I wasn't my true self with him, but because people pleasing, everybody around me thought we were going to get married, I was going to marry this man that doesn't even like my vagina.
Did you ever feel that he could have been gay while you guys were together? It's like,
however,
I saw him pick up shit with his asshole. That was weird.
No, when we were together, no. But we also, he was a youth minister. So we were super in the church.
Oh, and that was going to be hard to sniff out then.
It was going to be hard to sniff out. But also for me, though, I was not my true self with him.
Yeah.
I do think that he was interested in me. But I think part of his interest in me was because that's what he was taught to be interested in. I was in college. I was smart. I came from a good family. At church, I dressed well. Mm-hmm. He didn't see me slumming around Cal State Long Beach in Daisy Dukes that had beach across the booty and a sweatshirt. He didn't know Megan that liked to drink Bacardi 51 or 151 and lay out in lot 20 with my friends passed out. He didn't like Megan that was pee-popping on a handstand, but I'm all of those things. Mm-hmm. And so I, for the time that we were together, changed myself, but I also think he changed himself because he grew up in the church.
Yeah.
One of the things that has been happiest for me is seeing him be okay with being gay and finding a partner that he's going to spend the rest of his life. Dang, I'm sorry. Oh, this is a fake plant.
No, it's fake. It ain't real. Don't even trip.
It's not a tomato. Sorry. Because if it was tomato, he would have tackled me. But it's to see him embrace his full self.
Yeah.
And be real about it. Mm-hmm. You know how many people I know that their marriages have ended up in divorce because the man has come out being gay?
Yeah.
And the common denominator is they grew up in the church. That's why I'm like, there has to be a church where they love the LGBTQIA community.
Yeah.
There has to be a church. But we also, again, in this society, have a hierarchy of sins. Mm-hmm. If you're going to blame somebody for being gay and call that a sin, then you being obese is a sin.
Yeah.
So we don't want to talk about that.
I mean, look, we're going to end this podcast on this, but let me tell you about this shit, dude. So I have a guy who I followed, and he's a fighter, right? And I grew up watching this guy my whole life.
I hate when you fight, though. I don't like that.
No.
It makes me scared.
I don't like it either. I just got socked in the face the other day. Shit hurt. But
are you going back?
100%.
Idiot.
I like feeling it. I like feeling the danger. There was a dude, and he messages me, right? So I did this, video where I was talking about gaining weight, and I was asking God, like, why are you doing this to me? And he starts sending me scripture. He goes, you shouldn't use God's name in vain, blah, 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 blah. And he starts lecturing me, and I was like, I was a youth minister. Let's go. Crack, 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 crack. And I started bringing scripture, blah, 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 admonishing everything that he'd done. So I was like, can you?
Facts. And you knock people out for a living.
And this was long. I was like, do you want to speak for your sins?
Manny Pacquiao, sit down.
I was like, let's speak for your sins. Right. And I started taking excerpts from the stuff he did. I was like, this is what you did. And I started referencing Bible verses. And I took a good 2 hours to do this shit. And this motherfucker left me on red. I was like, don't ever speak to me about something that you don't know about. Right. Like, because the thing that pissed me off
about that you think you're going to come at me from a place of power.
Let me tell you the thing that pissed me off in the sentence. It was this one sentence. He goes, have you read the Bible? You should read it sometimes. And I was like, I've read the Bible probably at least 6 times my whole life. let's get it. Let's talk about it. Because you're talking about me with some random words. I see no scripture here. So you have no references. If you want to go scripture for scripture, let's fucking go. In the name of God, I rebuke thee. Bam. And so
Satan the Lord rebuke ye in my DMs. Like, bruh. Like, you just got saved, you new babe in Christ. Shut up.
Yeah, and then he's over here talking about it's a
we love the new babes in Christ, but y'all gotta calm down. Like if you new to this, you ain't true to this. We were raised off of pews. Okay.
And this man was just trying to lecture me, and I'm like, listen,
bro, you just got saved. Shut up.
Yeah, like don't talk to me about this type of stuff. And it's like it's easy for you to throw stones, right? Very easy for you, right? But guess what? Like, yeah, you could probably beat my fucking ass, but not through a DM. All right. And
it's the self-awareness. Like, maybe if I see you in person, you probably can knock me out. But in this DM, it's a KO, bro. Like, you gonna be a total knockout.
And I just did it through the grace of God. That's all that I did. And I talk facts. So what are you gonna do? You gonna beat me up for talking about Jesus, our Lord and Savior? Is that what you're going to do? Guess who's going to hell first?
Baby, he's a new baby in Christ, honey. He's still got some sin on the back of his life.
This motherfucker trying to fucking judge my faith. I never said I was a perfect Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm learning. I'm getting better.
But also, even the idea that we can't question God.
Yeah.
God knows what he created. He knows.
Well, that's what I said too. I referenced, people in the Bible. I was like, listen, you're only going based off the story of Job, but you're not talking.
Job was one person.
And he was crazy.
Like the fact that Job, though he slayed me, yet will I trust him? Yeah. I'm like, I got faith, but like, do I have faith? I don't want to be tested. Two things I never pray for: faith and patience. Because I don't want you to test me. I don't want you to test me. I got mustard seed faith. That's enough.
And I told him this too. I was like, you based your story on the story of Job, where God took everything from him, but he still set his faith. But you forget that
Job was one person.
Exactly. And you also forget Judas was also a disciple.
Facts. Facts. But see, people don't even want to recognize the context, right? Like there were tons of people on earth, and the devil was like, well, who you gonna let me test this faith in? God chose one person. Not many. It was one only, which means that Job was designed and created to endure that strife.
Mm-hmm. And you have seen so many.
Because I got hella first world problems, and I'm over here complaining. God, I hate being a teacher.
Yeah.
I don't hate being a teacher, but nigga, we need to make more. Yeah. Why do we need to make more? Because I like expensive things. That's a first world problem. Am I starving? No. I drive a Lexus. Like, clearly I'm not hurting for money, but I want more money because I like nice things. So I'm not Job. I cannot be Job. I already feel like my sacrifice to the world. Right, I am Job. Going to work every day, changing America's future, making them better, babysitting pay me like a babysitter. Pay me $15 an hour per kid.
Every kid.
I won't say nothing.
I literally, use these references, and I was going to bring my buddy Ed on this.
If somebody wants to donate Louis to me, I will take it.
My buddy Ed was like a missionary for so many years, and I wanted to send this to him because he would have went off, right? And I was like, listen, let me just go ahead and give him a couple of examples, right? And just like the idea of him to kind of press his whole, because his main thing is like, there are so many, trans people in this world. We're fighting a spiritual battle. I was like, you need to fight the battle with you right now, because you question my faith. Because I did a comedy video where I'm talking to God, and he says, I'm using his name in vain. That's not using his name in vain. You have conversations with God when you pray.
But you have to have a relationship to know that. And I think that's the difference, right? Is that a lot of people have affinities and relationships with their church, but not with God. Because I question God all the time, especially last year. Like, it's not a secret. I told you, I was like, I want to leave education. Like, I am sacrificing too much. There's a whole, let me tell you something. Y'all need to pay teachers more. And some of you parents, you participation ribbon parents, need to get off teachers' backs. Otherwise, you're going to have classrooms that are 40-1 because people are leaving, right? And so at the end of last year, when I was like, okay, I'm going to stay in teaching. And for me, I was like, it's this group of kids, which I have heard about this group since they were in kindergarten. So it's not the pandemic. Can't even blame the pandemic on it. One of my best teacher friends, she had them in 3rd grade. And when the pandemic happened, she was, we're crying, oh, I miss my kids. She was like, I'm so glad I will never have to teach these kids again in person for the rest of my life. Right? She ends up having to leave our school. We have to close a class. A class opens back up. She comes back. She's teaching 6th grade.
Oh, Lord.
Last year, 5th grade, I'm teaching these kids. I'm like, you know what, Father? It's just these kids. I will never have to teach these kids again. Friday before the school year ends, my principal's like, I'm so glad you're staying. I'm going to need you to move up to 6th grade.
Oh.
I was sobbing in his office. You know how I felt about this group. Yeah. You know. So I was like, oh, I'm Job.
Yeah.
God, these were the same group of kids that made me want to abandon my career. Why on earth would you give me another year with them? And same for her. She was like, how is it that I come back to my homeschool and I teach the kids that I was happy to not have to see every day during the pandemic? Why? What did I do? Though ye slay me, I'm kind of down on my trust in you. Yeah. Like, what is this, bruh?
And then you hear the other part of the scripture, God never gives you anything you can't handle.
Oh my gosh. I was like, I can't handle this, Lord. Like, we got to talk because what you think I can handle is not the same, right? And I needed this year, like in hindsight, I needed this year. But I was also like, I'm done with education. Like, this is trash. I don't get paid enough for this. And part of the reason is because they are emotional vultures. They literally suck everything out. And I tell them this. I'm like, I love y'all. Y'all are my babies, but I can't give y'all no more.
You took everything.
Y'all have taken everything, right? But then I had teachers that were like, oh, but it's them. Bruh, I can still love these kids and say this is hard as hell.
Man, I'll tell you this. Like, I have another friend who's an elementary school teacher, and then I love hearing her gripe about her shit because she needs to let shit out. And it's just interesting to me, right?
I finished a whole half bottle of wine.
Like, sometimes too, it's like, with people who you work for, they also sometimes forget how stressful your job is, right? And they go, oh, by the way, we had this thing after school. Can you do it? Oh, that's funny. Are you paying me? Because that's a lot. And even if you are, I'm spent.
Dear districts, if you ain't paying teachers to do stuff, we're not doing it for free anymore.
And they're like,
stop using the kids to guilt us. Oh, the kids would be so excited to see you. Okay, so then pay me to show up.
It reminds me of church. Oh, you're not doing this for God's grace? Like, hey, let me tell you something, man. The moment we step off a church ground, which is holy grounds, I'm socking you up. So don't let me catch you outside these gates.
Don't guilt me.
Like, don't do that.
Don't guilt me.
And they make you feel
like what boy was trying to do.
Like a bad educator or a bad Christian.
A bad Christian.
Right? Well, you're not going to do this for the grace of God. My buddy Ed told a story where this church that he left fucked up his relationship with God because of this. He was a videographer and he did video work. They had this huge thing out in Seattle that was, making big money or whatever. And he just asked for his minimum pay.
Oh, snap.
And they were like,
I'm going to ask you the church afterwards.
And they made him feel like a piece of shit because he asked to get paid for work. And he wasn't asking. He was asking for a little bit. And then he found out the band, everybody, every step of the way got paid a paycheck except for him. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, what? And then luckily he had a leader in the group that found out. And he was like, you didn't get paid? And that leader caused a He was
as
like,
they should.
He was like, you fucking took advantage of this young man.
You did.
Are you insane? And they made him feel like a shitty Christian because of it. And they don't understand that it has a ripple effect when it comes to religion. It was like the start that it planted the seed for him to just denounce God for a huge part of his life.
That's what makes me sad is because if you don't have your individual personal relationship with God, with Christ, outside of the church, people are going to mess up your relationship because people are flawed.
It's going to happen.
People are flawed, which means that people will take advantage. People are church trauma is real. I have church trauma. Church trauma is real. Mm-hmm. You have church trauma, right? But one of the best things that I can say is that in my 20s, with leaving the church where I grew up, I joined a church that was hyper-focused on me having a personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
Not with the church, getting up, I had never heard my pastor at the time in my 20s. He was Pastor Wayne Chaney. And the message that he preached that had me join the church was him apologizing to the entire congregation in advance, right? He said, I'm going to let you down. I'm flawed. I'm not perfect. I'm going to fall short. I'm not going to be able to show up to everything. There may be times when I give you counsel and it may be my humanness talking over my spirit-ledness. But I want you to know that God is real. I'm flawed, but God's not. So your relationship with God cannot just be about me. It has to be about you.
And I really appreciate that too. And, a lot of people don't ever hear me talk about religion in this type of way and, my attendance in church. But like I said, don't follow what I do. Develop your own relationship with whatever religion that you have, whatever God that you follow.
But again, right? Like your relationship with Christ is personal.
Exactly. And so I started seeing this thing where, there were churches in Los Angeles. There's a lot of mega churches here that make a lot of fucking money. And I'll go there. And
people trying to be influencers, and people trying to be pastors.
And I'll go there and I look at the individuals that attend the church, and they are more about the church and what's popping there than what their relationship is with God.
Facts.
And I go, oh, this is not where I want to be, because it's like it's you could see it. You attend enough, you could start to see it. And then I start hearing things that the church say that I just don't agree with. And I go, oh, you're scared to lose your money. And I've talked about this before too, right? Where, within the Christian religion, what people are going to bring up anyways, they talk about like homosexuality being a sin, which that's how it is in the religion, right? But it doesn't mean that I can't bring someone who is homosexual into Christ as well.
Facts.
That's how I see sin. That's how I see it. And that's the way that I keep my...
I literally have got into conversation, because I grew up not just Pentecostal, but Kojic.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So it was, if you wear pants as a woman, you're sinning. If you drink, which I'm going to finish this last drink.
Hell.
My Gana, till the day she died, would tell you that Jesus turned the water into wine because it was unclean. And I'm like, Gana, my God could make it clean. He turned it to wine because he wanted to be a turnip. Right? And so many things, even my mom, like, I feel like one of the beautiful things about becoming an adult, and from my mom telling me that she's not one of my little friends to her thinking I'm actually her friend, which I'm like, I'm not one of your little friends, is the conversations we're able to have. And part of that is about the rationale. Because like I said, my mom is highly educated. I'm highly educated. So getting her to see that drinking is not a sin, right? Getting her to understand that, my mom, she's going to kill me for this, but my mom wears compression leggings because she needs to for blood pressure. Mm-hmm. But my mom grew up where when you were a saved woman, you didn't wear pants. So she still put her skirt. But them skirts have gone from being at her Achilles heel to, a little bit at her knee. Cut a little kneecap.
Yeah.
Cut a little kneecap. Her heels went from flats and we're at 3 inches.
You know why? Because it's comfortable and it's hot. So it's okay. And that's the thing too. And there was this church that I was attending, and one thing I didn't like was like, I also don't like fucking bitch made pastors. And what I mean by that is that this guy, somebody,
I know exactly what you mean.
He goes, you could ask me anything. And somebody asked, so what is the Christian stance on homosexuality? And instead of saying like, in the Christian religion, homosexuality is a sin, but this is how our church deals with it, and we're welcoming and we're loving. He danced around this all over. I was like, you're a bitch. There's a way you could have handled this. And the reason why is because you're scared of losing your money. And I was like, this church is about losing their money. And I started attending this church more often. And every time it was about money. I'm like, oh, this is weird.
The prosperity age.
Exactly. And that's when I found out, oh, this is a prosperity church.
You give some money, you get some money.
He was talking about the stuff that he has. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like, this is a very social media-esque church. And I started looking around and I see, oh, this celebrity's here. Oh, this YouTuber's here. Oh, this is why this is very popular here. And like I said, be critical of your religion. Think about the things that you really don't agree with, and then look inside yourself, like, because you may not want to be a part of it.
And the thing is that understand the Bible, right? Like I said, and I tell people this all the time. The Bible is not only the book I believe in, but it's the greatest history book that we ever had, right? You have to understand the mindset and the time period and understand the cultural time period, understand where it stands on our timeline of inception of the world to current, modern era. You have to understand all of that to take the Bible in as to what it is. Because what a lot of Christian churches do, they like to pick and choose what they talk about. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, look, if you're a pastor, you should go to seminary school. You should study theology. You need to have some sort of accreditation that shows that you don't understand just the Bible, but you understand the history of it all.
Yeah. Because all the good and the bad.
All the good and the bad. Because in Black churches, right, you got 2 sins. 3 sins, maybe. One is only for women, which is fornication. And I say only for women because in Black churches, the woman gets punished, but don't let that man be a musician. Don't let that man need to do. Because he won't get the way that a woman gets sat down. And I've seen it in the church where I grew up, the way that I've seen women in the church get sat down, get penalized for quote unquote having a child out of wedlock. But we looking at the baby daddy still playing on the organ, still collecting that check every Sunday. Why? Because he's part. You feel good. What happens when you're shouting, when you're rejoicing, when you're speaking in tongues? You feel good. So what do? Mm-hmm. Write a check to the church, right? So women in fornication is one. Homosexuality is the big one, especially if you're a man. Can't be homosexual. And pastors love telling the story about how they was an alcoholic and they stumbled into church and then immediately they got saved. The drunkenness
you weren't born an alcoholic. It was your choice.
Their drunkenness was gone. And they started living for Jesus, right? Those are the big 3. We also forget about gossiping.
Oh.
We forget about pedophilia. We forget about my favorite, obesity. Because I'm like, could have sworn gluttony was a sin.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Black church. Black Christians. So if you gonna point the finger at someone who identifies as gay and you gonna point a finger at an unwed mother, you better look at them 3 fingers that are pointed back at your 400-pound self.
I know.
Because according to the Bible that I read, a sin is a sin. Mm-hmm. So the same way that you overeat at night is as much of a sin as the girl, who's creeping with the man that's telling her that she loves her. He's saying, I love you, is the same as the person who, if we're going to call a sin, you got to call it a sin.
And by the way, too, I've never seen somebody undo their gay ever. So as long as we've been alive, I've never seen it. And I have a bunch of gay friends. So
Tons.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you either, because that's the other thing too. I'm like, if we believe that people can be alcoholics, we could believe that people can be, you will come up with, especially in the Black community, you will come up for any reason for somebody to be fat. They're big boned. It's genetics. Oh, you trying to work out? But then when it comes to being gay, that's magically a choice. That's a spirit. That's the same spirit that is making you obese is making that person gay. And if you don't want to believe that, then it can't be a spirit. You know what I mean? So even when I I was literally having this conversation on the way up here.
That's so funny.
Is having a conversation with why I support the human rights of the LGBTQIA community, QIA plus, is because I'm like, as a human, I look at it like this. At one point, interracial marriage was illegal. At one point, Black Americans that's why we jump over the broom. The whole reason why we jump over the broom is because that was the signifying of the marriage, because we could not legally be married, right? We live in a culture where our very own existence, something that I cannot change that I was born Black. I cannot change the color of my skin.
It was a
that
sin.
was illegal. That was a sin. Mormons believe we didn't have a soul. We could not go to heaven. We didn't have a soul. So how am I, as a person who has come from a lineage and currently lives in a society where my civil liberties are always being threatened, then go and threaten somebody else's?
The 100%. And the weird, my dad said it the best. He goes, you telling gay people that they can't get married doesn't change the fact that they're gay. Like, it doesn't change the fact that they're gay. So what's the problem? You know what I mean? And my father's a pastor. He just didn't see the logic behind it.
Because it's illogical. Because anybody that thinks with common sense is going to say, imagine a world. This is what's crazy. Do you remember the first girl you were attracted to?
Oh, probably not. I mean,
I don't remember the first man I was attracted to.
I'm sitting here thinking.
Actually, I do. It was Will Smith. It was Will Smith.
I know crushes, but I'm pretty sure there was somebody before that.
But I'm like, I was 5 years old the first time I was watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I was like, oh, I like him. I don't know where that came from. That wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
I looked at the screen, saw Will Smith being fine. I still love you even after the slap. Fine. And was like, I like that.
Yeah.
So your dad is on point, because I could have easily been like Hillary Banks. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't turn gay. It's not a choice. And I think that's the thing that we've been taught so long to demonize people that don't fall in line with the mass appeal of thought. Right? Which is why blackness is bad being black, because being black is the complete antithesis of being white.
Yeah.
Being homosexual is the same antithesis as being gay, or being non-binary, or being non-gender conforming is the antithesis of what we are taught has been normed.
Yeah.
And so the way that people have to swallow it and not accept it because they're not willing to accept it is to denounce it. It's to denounce it as others. And that's the truth. And I'm like, if I don't want my civil liberties infringed on, how dare I infringe on somebody else's?
And what it boils down to me is I just don't give a fuck. You just live your life and I live my life.
Facts.
Don't let it come creep over here and try to fuck up my shit. I won't fuck up your shit.
No, facts. And it's like people try to say, well, I hear this argument a lot, which is like, oh, well, do you want somebody transgendered going into the bathroom with McKenna or Devin? I don't care, because there's a difference between somebody being transgendered and being a pedophile.
Yeah.
A pedophile means that you're preying on children and you are infringing on that child's civil liberty. So I'm all about people having their own civil liberties and their human rights without infringing on others.
Yeah.
A gun owner is infringing on my civil liberties, because I have to worry about you having some crazy.
Here's the hard part. Like
person that's going to shoot me up.
This is so new for everybody. So it's like I said, there's too many absolutists, right? So I understand, I'm listening and I'm understanding kind of like both sides to it, right? So it's like, yeah, we do see these examples. So like, okay, that's a question to have, right? Like, would you want somebody who is transgender to be, it's like, if I were to be honest, probably not, but what are they doing? If they're just taking a piss, then you're just taking a piss. And if you see yourself as a woman or a guy or whatever, whatnot, then maybe that's not a big issue, right? But then I
don't know what you're doing in the stall.
Yeah. And then like the other part is like, then they have issues with sports, which I probably understand a little more.
Sports I agree with.
There's a little clear line to that. Like I definitely wouldn't want my daughter fucking, I don't know, playing ball with some dude just dunking on her ass 24/7, fucking her up. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker. And he just, dude comes out, thick ass Adam's apple, big ass fucking legs. He's like, woman up, bitch. Like, all right, hold on a second, bro. Or ma'am, whatever the fuck.
So that I agree with. Why? And even if that may be a flawed mentality, but that's where I cross the line is with sports. I'm like, now,
things
baby.
Are just nuanced.
Baby, I understand that you want to be called Shakisha, but Shamar, you have the legs of a 15-year-old boy.
And you're 6'7".
And you're 6'7". So no, you cannot play against the Whitney High School basketball girls where our point guard is 5'5". You can't do that. Shamika, like, I love you, boo. Shakima, I forgot what I named him. You got to play in your own sports. And that could be flawed. That could be flawed as hell, right? But I'm also like, I'm not perfect. So even within my ability to like advocate, I'm still learning how to be an advocate for things that don't directly affect me.
Yeah, like I said, like people have asked too, specifically emails, is like, what do you think about this? Specifically because the hot topic right now is transgender things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, listen, I'll be honest with you right now. All I'm seeing are headlines, and I'm not going to base my opinions on anything based on headlines. I could tell you how I feel about stuff, but right now it'd be super out of pocket because I haven't thought about it at all, to be honest with you. And you're just asking to make content about a hot topic, which, by the way, that's all this stuff is constant hot topics. You see the fucking Budweiser bullshit. You know why they did that? Because it's a hot topic. Nobody gives a fuck about this shit.
Nobody.
You know what I'm saying? And then now we're like cherry picking things of like the worst examples of people in the transgender community, right?
And using that as the motto.
Yeah, it's like, but then once again, I'm saying this from my personal experience. I've never met, no, it's not true. It's not that I haven't met. I've never sat down and have a few people in my inner circle who are transgendered. So I wouldn't really fucking know. I have no nuance to this, right? So I can only talk to you about what I see online. But if I do that, I'm not doing any good. And it's not a topic I really care to discuss because I actually don't give a fuck about it, right? And that's hard to say. It's like, why don't you give a fuck about it? Because sometimes it's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then for me to assess and then come back later. Right now, I just don't know. It's so fucking new and fresh, and you're expecting me to think and say things in absolutes, and I don't have that for you.
And it's been interesting having students and former students that are transgender or non-binary, because for me, I've already developed that love for them. So I'm like, well, if you don't have a pronoun, if you don't want to identify by a gender conforming pronoun and you want to identify as they, calling you they isn't going to kill me.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill me. So I don't have to understand it. And I think that's part of the problem that we have with humanity, right? Is that you feel like you have to have experienced or witnessed something for it to be true. It's not the same.
You know what the crazy shit is too? It's like, now I'm hearing younger people saying like, no, you not understanding it is worse.
Yeah.
It's like, so I can't just respect you as a human being. It's like, what
and
the fuck?
I think that is where we are becoming grave, right? Is because I will never know what it's like to
you can't expect
be
me to.
homosexual. I will never know. I can be an ally to the LGBTQIA community plus as best as I can be. And I will do that. But it's the same thing as you being white and transgendered isn't the same as being a Black woman.
Yeah.
But you don't need to understand it to support me. Just know that when I say this is my truth, and support me in my truth.
That's all that it is, right?
That's all that it is.
Like I'll be telling people too, it's like, I'll even boil it down to this. You will most likely, even no matter how many years pass, get people in the majority of the world, if you are somebody who are transgender, this has something that I thought about, where you'll get every person to believe that you are what you say that you are. But what you can do is make sure that they treat you respectfully and understand that that's how you feel.
Facts.
But you cannot dictate how that person feels about you in anything, not just your race, your religion, how you feel, what you like to eat, anything like that. So when that becomes the battle, that's going to be an uphill battle that you will forever lose, because now you're telling somebody, not me specifically, how they should fucking feel about you, rather than just saying, hey, can you be respectful of me and just use my pronouns? I think we should leave it like that.
We should, because I always tell people, it's none of my, I've been trying to heal myself for being a people pleaser. I'm also like, it's none of my business how you feel about me.
Yeah.
All you got to do is treat me with respect.
That's it.
Especially if you're not somebody that I know well, you're not somebody that's in my close circle, you're not somebody that I depend on as a part of my village. Treat me with respect. What you say about me behind closed doors is your business. But what you do in front of my face is my business.
And just don't let me hear it.
And don't let me hear it. Don't let me hear it. If you want to call me some black bee behind closed doors, do that. But to my face,
Keep it respectful.
Keep it respectful.
Because you're not in my circle anyway. Who the fuck cares? What you do outside of my circle is what you do. You don't affect my daily.
And that is actually freeing, right?
People don't understand that though. People don't get that. They don't get that.
They don't.
Like, how come? Let them do whatever they do outside. You're not my friend anyways. You know what I'm saying? But are a human being.
I think that is what comes with every person that calls themselves an advocate or somebody that's trying to push a movement forward, is that one of the things that will release you and actually bring you peace, because I was struggling. I have general anxiety disorder, which means it don't take much to give me a panic attack, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things that was freeing was being like, it's none of my business what you say about me behind closed doors. What matters to me is what you say to my face.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with that.
I understand I don't trust everybody. I understand that not everybody has my best interest. I understand that I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be.
Yeah.
But at least face to face, because if you don't pay me respect face to face, you're going to be the one that's on the short end of the stick, because I'm not standing for that.
Yeah. Like, I'll even put it like this, like, because I'm in entertainment and I see it happen so many times where somebody will say something nice to somebody's face and they'll say something elsewise. It's 100% of people in entertainment. If you're an actor, you've already done this. I already know. Don't even say you don't do this shit. And it was a hard thing for me to see, right? Because so many people in entertainment, or maybe in Los Angeles in and of itself, they love saying like, that's my brother, that's my sister. You're so quick to say that shit. You don't even know these people.
That's what I said, for real. Like, it's got to be for real.
Yeah, like you don't know these people and you're like, oh my God, I love you for life. You love them. You just met them. What the fuck are you talking about? This is nonsense, right? And they go, and this person who they think that they outwardly say these specific adjectives about this person, and they do something sly, right? And they go, I can't believe you did this. Why? You don't know them. So what the fuck are you talking about?
You don't know them. But I think that's the thing though, is like people don't understand the difference between fast friends, tried and true friends, and connections. Mm-hmm. Right? Like there's levels to it.
Hell yeah.
There's people that you turn up with. The people that you turn up with.
You ain't meeting my kids.
You're not meeting my kids. And we've talked about this, right? Like you're not the person I'm going to call to when I'm down and out.
Yeah. If I'm at LAX and I need a ride, you're definitely not picking me up.
You're not the person.
I get it.
You're not the person. And even for me, something that has been eye-opening is having to acknowledge that people that I have 20 years with, you just a turn up.
Yeah. And 20 years of being turned up, and that's not a problem either.
It's not a problem. It's just levels to it.
Yeah, it's all that it is. Like whenever we see each other, we're fucking drunk. We don't actually share anything personal with each other anyways. Like I've had some stuff too on the other side where people come up and they're like, it's Uncle David. I'm not uncle to your ugly ass kid. The fuck are you talking about? That's a baby to me. That's a baby that I see. I am not that child's uncle. It's like, say hi to Uncle David. Don't say that. Don't say that. Because I don't care about you that way. So I don't care about your child that way. I haven't seen your daughter. I love your kid because I love you. That's all that it is.
Facts.
Right?
And you are McKenna's Uncle David.
There it is.
And Devin's Uncle David, because there's love there. There's a connection. There's real relationship there. We've actually never turned up together.
How old is Devin now?
Oh my gosh. Devin is 15. He's 5'11".
That's great. So I'm going to talk some shit. He going to have to back me up. I'm like, yo, you big enough? Cool.
But you know what is even crazier is like watching him. And so like McKenna just turned 4. So when Hunter and I first got together, Devin was 3.
Wow.
So now McKenna's like transitioning into the age where I started watching Devin grow up. So it's crazy to see the difference between them.
Yeah.
And I just can't believe, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that he is 15, 4.0 student, playing baseball, like working his heart out. And I'm like, dang.
He's a 4.0 student, show off? Damn, that's crazy.
But the thing is that I'm like, dude, he's a really dope human being. Like, even if he wasn't my kid, he is empathetic. He is celebratory. People, not tolerant. He's celebratory. He's understanding. And even there's times when, like I will be like, oh my gosh, white people exhaust me. He's like, don't say that. They're not all the same. I'm like, nigga, shut up. But I'm also like, but I raised you to be understanding of this, right? And that's dope as a parent.
That's so funny.
To look back, especially as a teacher.
He has to talk back, but he got to whisper a little bit. He's like, don't say that.
Oh, he definitely can't. Let me. You know, and it's also like giving grace to your kids. Mm-hmm. Because he's a dope human being, but I also understand that we won't see eye to eye on everything, and that's okay.
He's an individual now, too.
He's an individual. And that is a hard place to come to as a parent, but it's a dope place because I'm like, look, I understand. And that's part of the reason why I said earlier, I wish my mom wouldn't have given everything to my sister and I, because, and I'm sure you feel the same way, like moms of the 80s and the 90s, their friends were their children's parents' friends. And I'm like,
my dad had to suffer because of that.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know, I never saw my mom do anything for herself. Mm-hmm. So in becoming a mother, you know, I became a bonus mom at 26. So I sacrificed so many things because I thought that's what made me a good mother. And yes, motherhood counts as a sacrifice. But one of my biggest regrets was thinking that I shouldn't go on trips with my girlfriends or do things with my friends because, oh, you know, Devin can't go. And so now at 30 something, Devin and McKenna's mama is very different. Because I'm like, I want, especially having a daughter, I'm like, I want McKenna to see me having healthy friendships with my girlfriends that I've been friends with since I was 5, 12, 14. I want her to miss mommy when mommy goes on a trip, because when she's a mom, I want her to do the same thing for herself.
Yeah.
I want her to, you know, like even when it comes to her dad, like there's times when I'm kissing Hunter and she'll be like, that's my daddy. I said, that's my husband. And he will always choose me before you. Because when you get married, your husband should always choose you before your kids.
Oh, you're kind. I would have said, be quiet. You're leftovers.
And but it was like,
I said, I'm the main dish. Be quiet. Side dish. Be quiet.
One of the best things that we went through in premarital counseling, and I feel like I told you this too, was the fact that like your kids are not yours forever.
Oh yeah, 100%. My mom knows that. She taught me that.
Yeah, your kids should choose their spouse over you because biblically speaking, your family is the person that you are sharing a covenant with God with, right? And like even in the ups and downs of marriages, like the person who I am now is not the person that I was when Hunter and I got together. It's not the person that I was when I married him. It's not the person that I was when I gave birth.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the person I choose to do life with.
Yeah.
I don't choose to do life with my kids. At 18, there's a reason why your kids leave the nest and go off to college, because that's their self-discovery of themselves. Devin is 3 years away from that.
Oof.
And it's terrifying and it's scary. But I also, I didn't tell you about this. Story time. So I went back to Whitney. Mm-hmm. This is when I first realized Devin is not mine. He is mine, but he's not mine. So I went to Whitney for International Day, right? So I'm there to see my mentors, young Black scholars. They're flourishing. They're performing at International Day, okay? So I get a tap on my shoulder. Now, mind you, not only am I a Whitney alum, but I have a decent number of students that are also at Whitney. And so sometimes I meet their friends and their friends are like, oh my gosh, you're Mrs. Mitchell. You know, my friend so-and-so said that you're their favorite teacher. So they tap on my shoulder, little Black girl. I cannot remember what she looks like, but I know she's Black. She taps on my shoulder. She's like, what's your name? And I was like, it's not even the disrespectful part. I'm like, oh, Megan Mitchell, Mrs. Mitchell. Before I can get out anything else, right? She goes, I'm talking to your son. I felt like Ricky in the drive-by shooting. Like I was like,
bow, bow, bow.
I'm talking to your son. I was just texting him and he said that you was going to be here. And so I was wondering if that was you. And runs off. I thought I was a cool mom. This was when I realized I wasn't a cool mom. Because one, I wanted to fight her mama because why didn't your mama teach you how to talk to adults? I don't care what J's I'm wearing. I don't care how I dress. I don't care about the braids and the earrings. I'm still old enough to be somebody's mama. So you still need to talk to me with respect, right? But then two, your mama didn't tell you That you don't just walk up to a guy's mom that you're interested in and said, I'm talking to your son. First of all, luckily, the relationship I have with Devin James Mitchell, I already knew. I didn't know what she looked like, but I knew that he had a little girlfriend, or that he had a little girl that he like kind of liked or whatever, right?
I don't even like the fact that she touched you.
Me neither. But I'm also like,
don't even do this.
But you don't even know if Devin told me about you. So you're trying to stake claim over my son, not knowing if he's told me about you, not knowing the relationship there. There were so many things that were wrong on this level, right? But she then messaged Devin and told Devin, I don't think your mom likes me. So he's calling me. I'm taking McKenna to see Disney on Ice. He's calling me. I call him at intermission. Hey, son. He was like, yeah, what's up, Moo? I was like, nothing, baby. What's going on? He was like, yeah, baby girl said that she met you today. I said, oh, yeah, I definitely met her. He was like, yeah, she like said you didn't like her, but I can't figure out why. So that's why I love my son, because my son knows me. So I said, well, I don't dislike her because I don't know her. But did she make a favorable impression? She didn't. This is why. He was like, she did what? Why? He was like, why would she even go up to you? And I said, I don't know.
But you need to go talk to her.
But no, I didn't even say that. I was like, I don't know, because there was no reason for her to do that, which there wasn't. She went out of her way. I'm talking with my mentees. These are girls that I've had relationships with for years since we developed the mentorship program. She came out of her way, and then he was like, and then she tapped you. I said, she tapped me.
Also, he knows.
Then she said, and I know because I told him.
Yeah, I'm saying like he knows. You don't tap. So he's of course
but Devin also has been raised to talk to people.
Yeah.
I'm talking to your son. He was like, no. I was like, this is what she said. And so that ended very shortly afterwards. And I didn't have to say anything to him. Like I didn't have to tell him. I didn't have to go into detail what I thought, because we raised him to know how to speak to somebody. But that was also when I realized Devin's not mine.
Yeah.
He's not my baby anymore. You know, like he is developing relationships with girls. Do I think that this girl, clearly she's not a forever girl, but there is going to be one girl that's going to be his forever. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it'll be a boy, you know, but Devin identifies as being heterosexual. So his forever currently is going to be a girl. And when he gets with that girl, he has to choose that girl over me. Yeah. Because Hunter, his daddy, can't choose his mom or his stepmom over me. I got to be the one. Mm-hmm. With McKenna's going to have to choose her husband over her daddy. And that's just how it is. So Hunter better choose me over them, because at one day, these little niggas gonna choose us. For anybody that is offended, I'm black, so I don't care, whatever. Yeah. Like, get over your offense. You can't cancel me because I don't want to be popular anyway, so peace. Yeah. But they gonna choose their little spouse over their father and myself.
I mean, my mom already told me too, like when I was dating Mariel early on, she goes, like the hardest part about being a parent or a mother is that I have to understand that the life that you build with this person, that she is going to be more important than I am. Facts. Right. And, for her to say that actually kind of hurt me. I was like, no, you're more important. She goes, no. That's not how it's supposed to work.
That's not how. And I think that's what's great about your mom.
Yeah. She's like, it's not
how it's supposed to be.
She goes, because you're going to have kids with this person. And she knew this because of her relationship with her mother-in-law. With my grandma in the beginning wasn't that great. But he says, like, one of the things that your father did really well was that even though we would fight, we would get into it with each other. If his mom, my grandmother, came in and said something bad about me, he would be like, no, that's my wife. Yeah. This is a conversation I'm having with my wife. You don't get to say that about her. And my dad drew that hard line. He goes, so I will never, ever, you'll never hear me say a bad thing about your wife, ever. As long as you guys are together and you guys are having a healthy relationship, all your fights, I'm just an outside person. You'll never ever hear me see something bad about her. And she understands it because she knows what it feels like. Because it's terrible.
The same.
Yeah. So that's really
my
dope.
in-laws love me now, but baby, I had to jump through all the hoops.
And Mariel's very fortunate too, because I think she said it to me. She goes, I'm actually very lucky that your mom is not what I expected, because she's not the typical Korean mother-in-law, which is like, when you come in here, you bow, you do the dishes with me, all that stuff. My mom's like, don't fucking touch the dishes. Go sit and chill, hang out. You know, you and Dave are supposed to go out. And then she goes, no. My mom's like, stop touching my shit. You know what I mean? Fucking relax. Like, I'm not your typical mother-in-law. Don't expect that out of me. So just move on. And so, you know, Mariel's very fortunate.
My mother-in-law have an amazing, my mother-in-law, Mamacita, we have an amazing relationship, but baby, I had to prove myself tenfold and 1,000 times over. It was hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand, because I was like, Hunter, you not going through this grief when my family welcomed you with open arms. And you the one that's bringing a kid. I was nervous because I was like, oh my gosh, she has a kid. He's never been married. How's my family going to judge him? They didn't judge him at all. Versus me, I'm like, no kids, good credit. I, have amazing head on my shoulders, have a good job, and face all the judgment, right? But I also, we are amazing now, and I know that they love me unconditionally now. But Hunter and I've been together for almost 12 years, and I could say for a solid 7, it was very touch and go, But I'm glad that your mom realizes that, because that's the same way that I feel about whoever Devin's going to marry, is that I'm like, if I have to trust my son to know that if he is bringing somebody to us, this is somebody that he values.
Also, too, it's like, you can't hold the kid's hand forever.
No, you can't.
You're not going to be around forever either. So it's like, they just have to live their life. And, up until this point, you can do your best and still give advice, still guide them the right way. But as adults and as their individuality comes in, they have to make the choices themselves. And it's like, because if you start doing this thing too, where, and this, by the way, it bleeds into friendships as well. You start feeling that, because I gave this person, they didn't do it, they're dumb. It's like, no, you can only do what you can do.
You can only do what you can do. You can only control. The only actions that you actually have full control over are your own.
That's it. And,
that is it.
When they're a teen, 15, 16, 17, their individuality really comes in. And you can only hope that they love and respect you to a certain point. And there's going to be points where you're still going to get mad at them, still going to be upset. And I say this now, and then flashback later, I'm over here socking my kid in the face. But
I'm going to remind you, though. I'm going to remind you, though.
I'm about to fucking choke this child. What do I do?
And I'll be like, I'm coming, tell them to come outside, just put their stuff on the curb. I'm going to get them for a day or two.
Yeah, like take them away.
Because it's the truth.
I'll fucking kill this child.
Oh my gosh, I have to pee.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Where's the bathroom?
Right over here.
Okay.
We'll just wrap the podcast here anyways. Guys, we could talk for fucking hours.
With me saying I have to pee.
Yeah. You can catch Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. You guys know what it is. Shout out to Megan for coming through. We were talking about some deep ass shit. I love her to death. Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. See y'all next time. Peace.